Alright, I think we are good. Hey guys, how you doing today? This is John Rodriguez, aka invAAsive on PokerStars, coming back and playing another one of Ugly Tuna's internet challenges. Glad to be back here on a Tuesday. We have had some pretty decent success playing on Tuesdays. The last two Tuesdays have been, I guess, 6 max tournaments, and here we are sitting in another 6 max tournament. In a hand right now, which I was hoping to get a continuation bet from DeCarlo, but it just didn't work out that way. I think DeCarlo might have a king if he calls. I just don't think he's ever checking an ace back to me, so if he does call, he probably definitely has a king. Seven's kind of a funny card. I just don't think DeCarlo is ever in a spot where he is value betting or thin value betting a king, and if we have an ace, we're pretty much chopping because it's, you know, aces and sevens with a king kicker. So unless he has exactly a 7, I think I'm pretty much in good shape here. So I think I'm going to bet like 250, and hopefully maybe he looks me up with a king. But I'm not quite sure what to expect from DeCarlo at this point. This bet does look very fishy. When he does this min raise here, I mean, Jesus, I don't know what to make of it. You know, just, you know, any normal person who makes this min raise, like when you get raised on the river, you're never ahead, right? Like, so we're never ahead. We're basically calling the chop. But I think it's just an irresistible spot, and you know, unfortunately, we weren't chopping. It was ace king. So, you know, I guess things could have gotten a little bit out of hand. He does end up checking back an ace to me and making a pretty decent amount of money off of me in that hand. So, nice hand to DeCarlo. Very well played. Very well disguised ace king in that spot. I mean, obviously the guy flops top 2 pairs. So now thinking about it, you know, that is a hand that will more than likely check back and wait for their opponent to catch up. So, without getting into too much poker jargon, I'm just kind of happy to be back playing poker. The past couple days, well, I shouldn't say the past couple days, but, you know, I was kind of upset I didn't get a chance to go down and play the Borgata. I know one of my goals was to go down, play the Borgata, kind of relax, and work schedule and budgeting issues prevented me from doing that, even though I said that was one of my goals in one of my videos. But here we are, again, back on a Tuesday night. Like I said, we've had some success on Tuesdays. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are the best 6-handed player at this table, but it does mean that I do feel very confident in this format, in this 6-max format. We sat down in this tournament with 19 players. There are still 19 players. We are currently 16th out of 19th after losing a significant amount of our stack over to Chris DeCarlo, who also happens to be the chip leader at this point. Peelman has been sitting out for the basically the same amount of time that we've been sitting out for, so you know, this will be one of the first hands that Peelman gets to play here. So Peelman is essentially a brand new player. We have no history playing him in the past half hour. So, you know, basically we have some pretty decent players here. Jax 2014, who right now is in the points lead for Ugly Tuna's Internet Challenge. He's played pretty much all of the Internet Challenges and has just a few more points accumulated than I do. Chris DeCarlo and KS Kid not too far behind. You know, I think today, you know, playing a 6-max tournament, you know, you would think that, you know, maybe we would, you know, be playing fast, but, you know, I don't know. I think I don't know how I want to play today. I'm sort of in a gambly mood. I'm kind of, you know, not as patient as I usually am. You know, normally I'll come and I'll sit down and I'll just cruise, but I think when I get a stack that is in the 3,600 chip range here and the blinds are at 2,550, I'm kind of at a point in my tournament where I do want to get involved and I want to play. I don't think I can really slow my roll until I have accumulated a chip stack that's close to DeCarlo's. So these blinds and A's actually do really mean a lot to me. So I'm going to be raising pretty much any ace here when I'm in these spots. I know that leaves me a little bit more vulnerable to players behind me with aces, but having an ace 6-handed, it's very likely that you have the only ace in play. If your opponents do end up getting better aces than you, I just feel like the variation on the amount of aces that are going to be out in play 6-handed versus 9-handed makes ace 6 a little bit more playable, in fact a lot more playable. Also, since we only have 5 people, I know this is a 6-max tournament, we are currently playing with 5 players at this table. Chaos Kid decides to limp here with pocket 10s. I don't know what I want to do, but I think I'm just going to bomb raise, and hopefully my opponents just decide to fold. I do think Chaos Kid probably calls this just because I think it's really fishy that he just limps. So if he's limping, he's expressing he really wants to see a flop here. You know, I wouldn't put him past, you know, having a hand that's not really crazy. Like, I'm not putting him on aces right this second, but I definitely am putting him on a hand that definitely wants to see a flop. We do get 1, 2, maybe 3 callers. That'd be sweet. So we have flopped the Jin flop, the best flop in the world. The question is whether or not I'm going to get away from it if Chaos Kid decides that he is in the mood to raise. So let's just say for a second our opponent has limped with 5s, 6s, or 7s and has now hit his Yahtzee card. You know, are we ever in a spot where we're going to fold pocket 10s? And I think there's a possibility I may fold pocket 10s, but I just think it's extremely unlikely for me to just check here. So I think what I'm going to do is, you know, I don't think I can just, I think I'm going to bet 500 and hopefully my opponent just calls. If my opponent just calls, I'm pretty sure I'm beat. If my opponent raises me right here, I'm not quite sure how to take it. But I think I've bet enough to where if I do get re-raised off my hand, I may be able to fold it. But I don't know. I feel like Chaos Kid is extremely capable of just limping and calling with a monster hand here too. So when he's taking all this time and tanking, like, I feel like it's sort of like a Hollywood play here. Because I don't think he's taking all this time and tanking with like a hand like King Queen or Jack 9. So I feel like he just is trying to decide whether or not he's going to walk the dog with these other players in the pot. Jax 2014 has decided he's going to be moving all in here. I think I'm just going to call. And, you know, I think it's because Jax has a little bit less chips than I do that I'm putting my entire tournament stack at risk here on the strength of the fact that I still will have chips if Jax actually ends up having a set in this spot. Which I'm actually putting him on a set of 7s when he makes this move all in, which, you know, I'd say if you put a player on a set of 7s, why would you call it 10s? And there's a chance where he doesn't have 7s, so what are we drawing to? We're drawing to the board to pair, or we're drawing to a 10, so that always works out very nicely. Ouch. Well, I was going to type ouch, but he's no longer in the hand. Anyways, Jax 2014 decided that he was going to call a 6x preflop raise with 6-7, and he hits the exact flop that he wants to hit. We kind of get lucky, I guess. We're in a spot where we do get lucky with our pocket 10s. And, you know, when you have a bet and a call and a re-raise, I think you can make an argument to fold the 10s in that spot. But again, I mentioned before, I was feeling kind of gambly here, and sometimes six-handed, I just can't find a fold. I think that's a tell on me as a player. I just can't find a fold six-handed as good as I can find a fold nine-handed. So if my opponent's really, you know, that board was wet enough where, you know, 5, 6, 7, you know, I could be up against 7, 8, I could be up against 6, 8, I can be up against lots of diamond draws. It says, are we down to 6? I don't know who this player is, Red Dog 7-2, but I do have a note on him. We'll get to the notes in a little bit. Right now we do have some pretty familiar faces sitting at the table. We have Bill, who is sitting with a little less than a starting stack over here. Maluzo, who we have some history against, and actually, I think won a tournament here recently. We have Peelman, who was sitting at the table with us earlier. So now he was on our right, and now he's moved to our left. He really doesn't have that much of a hand history with us at the other table that we were at, so I'm not too concerned that he's sitting here on my left-hand side. It's not like we had a ton of hands that we were playing with each other where he's going to be, you know, utilizing a tell on me. But again, I've shown at least to him that I'm raising with premium hands like pocket 10s, and I'm riding with those hands. So at the very least, if he is trying to put a read on me based on the hands that I've played so far, it's that, you know, I am being relatively aggressive thus far. So anyways, we have some pretty poor recent results. I think the last time we cashed a tournament, we won last Tuesday. There have been, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So there have been 3 tournaments since then. Each one of those tournaments, unfortunately, we have either played terribly in and or not given a fuck about. I think the last tournament that I played with my son, and I had a lot of fun playing with my son. We had a deal where we were going to move all in at a specific time in the tournament. So he had said to me, Dad, And I didn't post this video just because, you know, my internet had been disconnecting, and it was just a really, really sort of tilty sort of video. But my internet had been disconnecting, and I really wasn't playing really well, and I had sort of about 25, 30 big blinds left. And about a half hour prior, my son had said to me, you know, Dad, can you move all in? And, you know, just pick a hand in exactly 1/2 hour and move all in. Sort of a wet board here. I don't think I'm going to be c-betting. I do think Peelman may have a piece of this. So when the ace pops off, that's actually a really good card for me, because more than likely he's going to be checking, and even if he is betting, I'm going to be raising here, because the ace hits my range a lot more than it hits his range. So I actually, you know, if my opponent actually has an ace, which now it's more than likely that he does have an ace, I think he's just going to ride with it. So, you know, is there ever an amount that I can bet to get an ace to fold? I don't think so. I think my goal was to at least do my best to try to represent an ace, and, you know, Peelman passed the test, so I'm just going to give him credit for having an ace in this spot. And he shows up with a really decent ace there, so I don't think I was ever getting him to fold that hand. I mean, the 7 of spades is kind of a scary card, but it's enough to where I, with my bet sizing, figured out exactly what my opponent had, and I was able to, you know, not make too much of a mistake. Yeah, you know, I gave him an extra 700 chips when I probably could have just folded to his 240 bet, but again, I'm feeling like I'm in a gambling mood here, guys, so I am going to be pressing edges and testing my opponents, and hopefully you guys can see those lines and decide for yourselves. You know, you guys be the judge. You guys be the judge and jury, and you guys decide if these lines are good lines to take or not so good lines to take. But I'm going to do my best to justify it, right? So in a court of law, if I brought this to you and said, you know, Your Honor, you know, here's my defense. I bet A because he did this. I bet B because he did this, and you decide whether or not I was committing a crime. So maybe raising on that ace was a committal of a crime, but I think it remains to be seen if I have a read on Peelman exactly how he's going to react to these raises. And I also think that if Peelman is trying to represent an ace with a 240 chip bet, I'm going to get him to fold all of his bluffs by being in position and making that raise. So, you know, I did have the chips at the time to make that feeler raise. So. Just didn't work out for us in that way. Our goals obviously are to try to final table this tournament. I know a lot of times you set a goal to win, but I think the main goal that you should have is to try and final table, because in Tuna's tournaments, really anything can happen. In any tournament, anything can happen, right? So until you make it to a final table, you know, everyone's kind of stressed out. Everyone's kind of overplaying their hands. And then when you get to a final table, sometimes things sort of calm down, and, you know, people can see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So they calm down, and hopefully we can make some good decisions if we are lucky enough to make it to the final 6 players. Let's just read what I have here on Red Dog 724. Was there that many Red Dogs that he had to put this long ass number? You know how, like, when you put your name in and it says, sorry, there's already a Red Dog, we recommend Red Dog 34. You know, that's a lot of Red Dogs. I don't know if you guys ever remember, but that was probably the first beer that I ever drank. It's like a malt liquor back in, well, I'm not going to say when the first time I had a beer was, but it was a malt liquor from a long time ago called Red Dog. Limps early position with an ace with around 80 bigs, gets single raised, folds his ace. Holy shit. So super, super tight. I don't want to say tight aggressive, you know, just this sort of tight player. If he's limping early position with an ace with 80 bigs and gets raised and folds his ace, I'm assuming that at the time I took this note, he showed that he folded an ace. That's pretty sick that he can just lay that down with 80 big blinds. We do have a min re-raise here from Peelman and a call from Bill. This is actually a very similar spot to a hand that Bill was in an earlier video where he called a min re-raise from either top 2 or I'm trying to figure out, but he ended up calling in position and the flop came out like 7, 9, 10. And we have a similar flop here, so Bill probably has a pretty decent decision to make here. I'm putting Bill maybe on jacks. Peelman's probably going to c-bet here because this bet is just terrible. I mean, this 60-chip bet is just the worst. You know, I guess maybe it forces Peelman to define his hand. Like, I don't know if Peelman is ever making this size bet without this 60-chip bet here in the middle. I think this is a mistake bet sizing wise. Like when your opponent makes a bet here of 60 into this size pot, I think you can just very comfortably ignore it and bet what you wanted to bet, which may have been half pot or 2/3 pot, and you still have the same effect as, you know, making this over raise here and really putting, you know, you're essentially pot committing yourself. Now you have less than what's left in the pot. So if red dog checks here, I mean, this bet, I mean, let's just talk about this bet, guys. Like, what is it really accomplishing besides egging Peelman to move all in? So if he really wants Peelman to move all in, then this bet is a beautiful, perfect, like, wonderful bet. If red dog is ever folding right here, like, I just hate the way he plays. I'd like to go knock on his door and hand him a poker book or some sort of flyer for self-help and try and figure out what exactly do you think you're experiencing. So he actually ends up calling with a flush draw and bricks out. You know, so this is just sort of poker 101, probably not a good idea to be calling for your tournament life with one card to come there. But again, he does have some equity, so it's not like he was drawing dead, you know, although he's in really bad shape when his opponent is showing pocket kings. So anyways, you know, Peelman has shown that he is going to be min re-raising with his big hands. Here we have an open-ended straight draw. I think it's good enough for us to just bet. Peelman does have a lot of chips here. Now that we have actually a real draw here, I think I'm just going to keep bombing, and hopefully my opponent maybe just has like a single 8 that he's willing to fold. When we don't hit any of our draws here, I think we just check, and our opponent shows us a 10 a lot of the time. If he decides he's going to make a strong bet, I probably just fold. You know, I'm making this a lot harder than it sounds, right? Because basically I have third pair, and I'm never calling a pot-size bet on the river with third pair. I mean, unless my opponent really just missed a bunch. You know, like, what can my opponent possibly have? Because he had just called pre-flop. Like, maybe the king helps him. Maybe he has, like, a king-8, and the king just absolutely helps him. But we had just so much equity where we were betting so that we'd be able to put in a sizable bet if we do hit our draw, right? So, like, if a diamond ends up coming, we can bet really big like he did. If a 6 or a jack ends up coming, we can bet really big like he did. And it doesn't, you know, we're definitely just going to make a bunch of money doing that. So, so I just think that, you know, we just didn't hit the draws that we were hoping to hit, and we can just comfortably get away from our hand. You know, I don't know if there's an amount that Peelman will bet that I will call. So, you know, maybe with a 970 chip pot, maybe I'll bet, or maybe I'll call. Like, maybe he turns around and just bets like 400. You know, actually 400 might even be a fishier bet to a point where I might just fold. But you know, truth be told, I just, you know, I don't mind my bet on the turn. You know, let's just discuss why I don't mind my bet on the turn, because a lot of people would probably have just checked back. Seeing as how when the king pops off, yeah, you have some draws, but you really don't have too much. So the way the hand plays out, you know, our opponent Peelman has decided to limp, which really doesn't mean shit in a 6-handed tournament. He could be limping with pretty much anything. When this hand comes, you know, I'm putting my opponent on, you know, at least. Well, I can't put him on anything right this second, but I did make a 90 chip bet and we just get called. So there's not a lot of draws that you need to protect here. So I think 10s are always calling and 8s are always calling. Do I think 2s are always calling? Not necessarily, but I also don't think there's a lot of hands that our opponent, or Peelman in particular, is calling with pre-flop that have a 2 in it. So, you know, he really has to have an 8 or 10 in this spot. So the king comes and we make another pretty substantial bet and we fire our second barrel. Now there's really no reason for us to be afraid of the king. You know, so if we did, like, say we have exactly Jack 10 in this spot, are we ever just going to check back again to our opponent? I think not. So I think our bet is pretty reasonable. You know, we are telling the story that we have hit at least a pair, more than likely a pair of 10s. You know, does the king help us? I don't know if this tells the story that our king helps us, but the fact that our opponent is just calling the 300 in this spot, I think, with really there's no draws in this spot, so maybe our opponent has like exactly. Well, our opponent probably could have a hand like Queen Jack. Like, our opponent probably makes the same call with Queen Jack, and then when Queen Jack misses, I think our opponent makes a pot-sized bet. But even if Queen Jack misses, it's still like such a small part of his range to a point where I'm kind of just like, you know, the only hand that I'm probably ahead of on this river, when he goes ahead and he makes a well, you know what, whatever, I'm not going to go search for it, but you understand my point. We're only up against one player, so obviously we're calling with the 2 pair. You know, our opponent has decided it's a good time for him to move in with Squadouche. And he has rivered one pair. That's not going to be good enough. So we have recouped a lot of the chips that we just gave over to Peelman. I think we gave him 450 chips, and we were able to recoup that, so that's always fun. So it's always nice when we have an opponent like Red Dog who just basically can't figure out how to play and spazzes out and gifts us some chips. So it's Christmas in January. Hooray! What are the notes I have on Peelman anyway? So, limping early position with any 2 suited cards and 10-10. You know, so our opponent could have had a set in that spot as well. Like, I guess if our opponent ever has, like, you know, a set of deuces or a set of 8s, he plays that pot the exact same way where he's calling each one of my leadouts. Like, I'm donking out. Here we go. We got an all-in here from Bill, and it's top pair versus 2 pair. So Bill is drawing to a 9 or an ace, and he hits the ace. He actually hits runner aces. And that's just how you play poker, kids. You know, you go in with the best hand, you leave with the worst hand. That's just the way it works. So Bill has doubled through Peelman, and we have some evening out of the chips. They have been kind of smushed around the table now, from me to Peelman, from Peelman to Bill. If everything goes well, it'll come right back to me. Probably the worst flop for us. Not even going to pretend to have hit this flop. I think I'm just in check fold mode. Even if I turn an ace, if it checks around to me, I don't think I'm still betting it. Maybe exactly one more black ace out here, but you know, I don't know that I can make a bet that's going to make a heart fold because the pot is still relatively small, right? So if this checks to me and I do turn an ace, you know, or even a 5, like, you know, even though I'm probably ahead a lot of the time, I just don't know that I can get hearts to fold. And maybe Bill looks me up. Rich may look me up. I just, you know, an ace or a 5 was pretty much my only hope of feeling comfortable betting this flop. So make a half pot size bet, and I think I've explained in other videos before, half pot size bets are really the hardest bets to read, whether they're a bluff or whether they're for value. So if you're unsure about how much to bet half. There you go. You bet half, they can't figure out whether you're bluffing or not. King high here, I think I'm just going to call. Peelman, if he decides to raise, I think I just fold. Still have king high here. I'm not going to lead out here and bet. I do have a runner diamond or runner straight draw, but I don't think it's good enough to put any more chips in the middle. When the 2 pops off, I think there's a large part of me that still thinks I might have the best hand. You know, if my opponent ever has like queen 6 or, you know, jack 4 or something along those lines, I think Peelman would have done well to just try and take the pot away from me right there. This 3, you know, maybe I make an 80 chip bet, and I think my opponent probably looks me up with any pair. If my opponent has no pair, then, you know, I think I'm good. But I also think that I did myself a favor by not showing down my hand, and I think there's more value in betting the 80 chips with the chance that you won't have to show down your king 6 hand than there is by just checking and allowing your opponent to check behind and having your opponent see that when you're checking to him on a board like this, and you're checking 2 or 3 times, that it more than likely means that you missed, right? So, you know, I know that I more than likely am winning this hand if it goes to showdown. You know, there's a chance where Peelman may turn around and show up here and maybe make like a 140 chip bet and maybe get me to lay down my king 6. So by betting the 80 chips, I think it's really unlikely that I'm just bluffing with 100% air. You know, not that this pot means a whole lot to me, but I do think that I'm trying to fight to win pots, right? So, you know, if I just, oh my god, yeah, so, I mean, this really isn't an interesting hand, but I do think I want to bang home the point that showing down to your opponents and everybody at the table that when you are checking to your opponent twice that it automatically means weakness can, in the long run, be more exploitable than simply betting the amount of chips that you want to bet. And, you know, I think, am I ever getting looked up with a deuce or a 3? Yeah, I do. So, you know, even if I'm going to win all the time, and even if he's never calling me with worse than what I have, I still hate showing to my opponents that I'm just going to check down twice and it means that I have nothing. Because right now he could be thinking I might have had Jack 8 and just tried to get my opponent to catch up. There's still mystery in my hand. And the longer that I can keep my opponents guessing, the more of an edge that I have while I'm playing against them. So that's really the main reason for me trying to do what I can not to let my hands go down to showdown. And that's another reason why I like sort of making river bets very frequently, because it makes my opponents feel like they have to make a decision even if they have nothing. Maybe they can call me with nothing and they'll have a better nothing than I have. Let's see what's going on here with Maluzzo. Maluzzo must have won a couple hands here. He's sitting with 5,800 chips, 5,900 chips. He must have won a couple hands and decided to sit out. And, you know, in this tournament, you can do that. You can win 1,000 chips, sit out. What time is it now? It's like 9. So say he ran his chips up to like 6,000 within the first 15 minutes. He can take an hour off, come back, and he's still going to have an above average or pretty much an average stack. Not to say that this guy isn't just sitting in the bathroom right now trying to crap, and he just can't get it out, and that's why he's sitting out. There's all kinds of reasons why he could be sitting out. But anytime you're in a tournament and you've made some chips and you feel like you want to sit out, or run to the store and pick up some cigarettes, or do whatever it is that you guys do when you have breaks or whatever. This is another thing about Tuna's tournaments. We don't have breaks, so you're going to see people sitting out just for the sake of the fact that they need a break. And I'll do that from time to time, if I have to take a pee-pee break or something. Deuce 3 here in the big blind. Not going to be defending with 3 high, but Peelman is deciding that he might get us in trouble. Like, worst thing is, the flop comes like 3, 4, 6, right? So if the flop comes 3, 4, 6, that's pretty much, a hand. That's something that I would want to continue with, right? Obviously, any 2 pairs we'd be continuing with, but pairing either a deuce or a 3 without a draw, you're basically in insta-fold, no matter what. There are players who will argue that they should be playing, any suited cards, so they'll play 3, 4 suited, deuce 3 suited. I think that's more of a cash game mentality. I think in a tournament, you just save the extra chips. So if Peelman checks again here, I think it's going to look really weak that he just called and then checked the flop and maybe checks the turn here. I mean, this is just such a weak poker play here. I just don't see what you could have where you have any of this. Maybe he has a hand like ace-jack or king-queen and just has none of this. Super fast river pot size bet. Geez, man, I don't know. I think if Peelman ever shows up with a flush in that spot, he makes a big bet sizing mistake by betting so much on the river. I think he probably gets paid if he bets like 160 or 180. But to an opponent who has shown that he hasn't put more than 80 chips in the pot, I don't think the 560 chip bet is going to get paid a whole lot unless your opponent has exactly a flush. We are not going to be slow playing in this hand. We are just going to be betting because, why not? Because our opponent may or may not decide to continue. I think it's a lot likely for us to have, I think it's very likely for us to have the best hand right now. But I don't think we're going to stop betting. I think if Peelman does have a queen, when we get min raised here, our opponent really could have anything. But we do have to be worried about what's going to happen on a lot of rivers. So I think I'm going to take my time and really think about what my opponent could be min-raising me with. So, we just limped. So hands like Queen 7 and Queen 3 are not necessarily out of his range, right? So he could have that. If he does have any 2 pairs, we probably have the best hand. So I think in this spot we're just gonna bet 6. No. I think I'm gonna bet something super annoying like 480 chips, and hopefully he looks us up with a busted 2 pair. Maybe he had like Queen 3 or something like that. And if he does raise us, I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh, what do I do? It's just annoying. It's annoying for him to have to fold if he really did have 2 pair. Like if he had a Queen 7 or a Queen 3 and this ace pops off, it's just like really annoying for him to fold for 480. I think if I make like a bet, Peelman probably, like if Peelman has the exact hand that I have, he probably bombs that pot. He probably bombs it for like 1,000 chips. And, and most players are just never going to pay him off if they have a busted 2 pair. But if he does just have a queen, I think it's really annoying for him to have to fold. So let's just take a look at what he has. So yeah, so he shows up with Queen 3, exactly what I thought he had, which is Queen 7 or Queen 3 and a busted 2 pair. So By us checking to him, I don't think he ever makes a value bet knowing that his hand has been counterfeited. So I think we bet pretty much the exact amount that we needed in order to get paid on our hand. So points me. Get myself a little pat on the back there, Johnny. Sniffed out your 2 pairs situation and was able to suck out. I have sucked out a couple rivers. Obviously, I sucked out with a 10 to give me trips against one of our opponents earlier today for most of our chips. We also just sucked out when we knew we were behind against Peelman. But I think, again, I'm in the mood to gamble today, so you guys are going to see some gambly-ish lines. This bet, I mean, this is another situation where, you know, I don't know what this guy's trying to do with these min bets. I just don't get it. This is such a, it's a type of board where basically any draw is continuing. So any spade is continuing for an 80 chip bet, you know, any draw is continuing. So unless he has like a red deuce 6, you know, I just don't think this bet really accomplishes a whole lot. But whatever Rich decides, he's just going to give up on the hand. I don't really have a whole lot of notes on Rich. You know, maybe I should have taken more notes on Rich. I don't think Rich is the type of person who I've seen a lot of showdowns. I think when he does play, I haven't really had a lot of showdowns where I have notes on him. But Maluzzo's sitting out here. We are playing 5-handed, so Maluzzo sitting out is more than likely going to get his shit raised. Bill ends up sitting out, and somehow Rich doesn't see the opportunity to raise, but Maluzzo must have come back just in time here. So let's just take a look at the lobby real quick. Looks like we are back in first place with ZZ back, one of our opponents who we went heads up with against last time. So he has shown that he has some 6-handed prowess, along with Ugly Tuna and Krista Carlo, who's sitting to our immediate left. Oh no, I thought Krista Carlo was sitting to our immediate left. Turns out I was wrong. Nope, not gonna work. Not gonna work. I like this bet for Maluzzo no matter what he has. I don't like the just snap flat call with a straight here. You know, if you're ever in a spot where you have a straight and your opponent is leading out into you on that board, I think you are kind of obligated to at least make a small raise. Given the stack sizes, I think you can make a small raise. You know, because if you're ever getting 4-bet, then you know you're behind, right? So like if our opponent ever makes this bet on the river, so let's just say the way this hand plays out. Like, don't get me wrong, like I don't mind Peelman playing his hand this way and being conservative. You know, like that's fine. You want to be conservative, whatever. You know, he is limping with 10-7 suited, which I guess 6-handed is fine if you want to limp with it. So Maluzzo has made a little more than a half pot size bet here at 160, and Peelman has turned a pair and a straight draw, so I do like the call here. And then Maluzzo makes a relatively callable bet of 240. So do flushes make this bet? I think so. I think if I have a flush, I'm probably betting a little bit more than 240, but not knowing exactly what Maluzzo's intentions are in this hand, I do think flushes play the exact same way that Maluzzo plays. So, you know, on further review, I do think in a strange universe, Peelman can be putting his opponent on exactly a flush, but I just don't think, you know, I think a min raise or a raise to like 650 or something for straight value, I think is something you should be raising your opponent instead of just flat calling. Maluzzo makes it 160. I think I'm going to make it 400, and I think it's going to make sure that I'm in position against all of my opponents. Like, all of my opponents are more than likely folding, and Maluzzo's probably going to call and look me up a little bit, but if Bill decides he wants to play, actually he's shown that he has been timing out folding. But my raise does look super duper strong here, so I do like my raise just to make sure that, you know, because this min raise here gets called from the small and big blind a lot, and I just don't want to play ace-9 against more than one opponent. So this is actually a really good flop for us, because if our opponent actually doesn't have a pair yet, it makes it very likely that we are in the lead here, so I'm going to make it 750. And that's going to be enough of Maluzzo's hand, enough, that's going to get a lot of Maluzzo's hands to fold. When he just calls here, I don't know what to do. I think I just bomb pot. And I think, you know, maybe he has a hand that he can fold here, but I think him just calling the 750 is kind of weak. I know that sounds counterintuitive because it is such a big bet, but I put enough chips in there to where if he actually does have a really good hand, he should be raising my 750 chip bet. Like if he's ever in there with jacks, he should be check raising that bet 100% of the time. He's even there with queens or kings, he's 100% check raising. You know, unless he has exactly a set, I just don't think that him calling means much more than a draw and or middle pair with decent kicker and or an under pair like eights or nines. So we did what we could to put max pressure on our opponent, and it definitely works out for us. So even though we gained a significant amount of chips, we have moved out of the chip lead, and it looks like ZZ Back has neither knocked somebody out or done really well to put himself in good chip position. Bill raising here to 200, like I said, you know, that's sort of his standard raise. I think if I have a hand like 9-7, I'm probably calling all day. King 10, on the other hand, can get me into some trouble. You know what, let's just have some fun, let's call. If I have 9-7, I'm in great shape, right? Obviously, this hits my range a lot more than it hits his range, so I think I'm just going to be betting 245 chips, and if my opponent decides that he has a better hand, then he's just going to call me all the time. When the 7 pops off, I don't quite know what to make of it. I do think my opponent, you know, maybe calls me with ace high a lot of the time, but I just don't know yet, so I think I'm just going to keep betting and putting pressure on my opponent, and if my opponent decides he's going to continue on this card, you know, he's done the whole, you know, call the bet and then raise the bet. And what exactly is the story that he's trying to tell here? He's trying to tell me that he can beat a 7, and I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Like, every bone in my body wants to raise him right now. You know, the question is, if he has an overpair, is he ever folding at this point in the game? And I don't know. I think I'm just going to give Bill a break here, and I'm just gonna give him a break. Bill, I want you to know I was very close to re-raising you on the strength of the fact that maybe, just maybe, you have like ace 9 or a pair of 10s. I just am not putting you on a 7 in that spot. So for you to be raising, you're basically telling me the story that you have a 7 or can beat a 7, and I just don't think that you could. So, you know, I think it's likely that my line, you know, I don't think I'm just going to give Maluzzo the luxury of just min raising here on a disconnected player. So I'm going to be defending here with King 8, even though I'm playing Maluzzo out of position. Yeah, my hand is very vulnerable, and more than likely, if my opponent has a king, he has a better king than I do, but I do think that I can just protect the 100 and 200 chips in the middle by calling 100. So I'm calling 150 to win 550. So I just need to be right 1 in 3 times. And I think I'm right a lot of the time. So I think by betting, I might get raised off my hand. So I think I'm just going to check call whatever my opponent decides to bet. When he bets 200, I actually feel like my hand may be the best hand now. I think if he bets like 350, my hand is not good. But by betting 200, I think I just call. I'm not too worried about draws or anything like that. When my opponent sees the diamond and the king, it's just really scary for him to continue. So I think I can bet like 300, and if my opponent has a diamond, he's always continuing. And so we have rivered a full house here. You know, the only thing that we're really afraid of at this point is an ace king. So how much do I want to bet here where I know I'm going to get paid off? And I don't know what I want to bet. You know, if my opponent has a flush, would he have just called? I think I bet 775, and maybe my opponent looks me up, which is good because I probably was thinking about betting less just to make sure I get called. But I also thought that because the ace was out there, it's just going to be extremely difficult for my opponent to ever be folding an ace. And if he does have a flush, he's never folding a flush. So the only hands that he is going to call me with are pretty strong hands. It's going to be very difficult for my opponent to fold those hands. So I think a bet on the larger side probably gets called a lot more. But, you know, I guess it just works out. And we're going to take a look at, at what he called me with in just a second. I don't think I'm going to pretend to have hit this flop. I think the king is a really good card for me. I think I can absolutely be pretending to have hit this. So I think I'm just going to bet. Now, you know what? I think I'm going to check. You know, does my opponent bet 350 and make me fold? It's just a snap bet of 350. I'm going to do the right thing and just fold. Alright, Billy, you got me twice. I want to know, okay, so my opponent actually, you know, had an ace and had a diamond draw. So, you know, like I said, any diamond draw would continue for 300. Obviously, any ace is continuing for 300. And, you know, I was able to bet enough to get my opponent to feel uncomfortable folding what more than likely was the best ace. So we're able to make a little bit of extra chips there and not give too many chips over to Billy there. Tomb Raider's making his way back into the top two. Ugly Tuna sitting really well at 8,600. I think it's showing a little bit of my impatience right now that I keep looking at the tournament leaderboard because I am feeling relatively impatient right now. You ever just know that you're having an impatient day? You know, like, I don't know. Let's just go over this. Like, if you know you're being impatient, like, that's a weakness, right? So if I am recognizing a weakness in my game right now, it's the fact that I'm not being patient at all. I'm defending from the small blind with King 8, making bets that I probably shouldn't be making, and they're just working out. Definitely getting a little bit more active in this poker game, although we are playing five-handed, so it is kind of justifiable that I'm getting active. But at the end of the day, I'm just exuding a lack of patience. And I think what I need to do is recognize that in the middle of my tournament right now and say, okay, John, you know, you really need to, you have the amount of chips that you want to have, you've done your job, alright, you have an above average chip stack, and you are playing against players who are not really pushing back too often, so it's not like you're in trouble right this second, and you have a pretty good table image. So, you know, the blind's going up to 6120 in 10 minutes from now. You know, I just don't think it hurts you. I think you can fold in orbit, and, you know, it's not going to really hurt you. If anything, it'll help your table image. So, you know, maybe I'll just slow down, you know, stop trying to do all these plays and just slow down. You know, I have been in the mood to, you know, look some people up, have some hero calls, but I'm noticing a lot of people recently just limping my my big blind. I don't know if that's good or bad when people are limping my big blind. I like this raise from Maluzzo. It gets through 100% of the time because it looks like it comes out of nowhere. And you have a short stack who puts 25% of his chips in the middle. It's just a really scary bet. So I really like this bet from Maluzzo here, whether he has the cards or not. And you know, he's essentially punishing the limpers. You know, if you're limping and folding, I mean, it's like the worst form of poker is limp fold poker. Like if they made a poster for "You're the worst player ever," it would just be limp fold poker. I've been doing a lot of limping here on Peelman's big blind, and again, I think I'm just going to show my patience here and just limp. You know, I don't think like if I race to 300, it puts me in a spot where I feel good about it. But now I've given Peelman the lead here. And what do I think my opponent is raising? Like, do I think my opponent is ever raising with worse? Like, is he ever raising with ace-4? I guess, maybe. But again, ace-5, offsuit, out of position. Even if I flop an ace, I don't really love it. So, whatever, Peelman, you stole my 100 chips, you bastard. So yeah, so that was me more exercising my patience than anything right there. Was me saying, okay, I've just expressed that I can fold, I can lose these 583 trips and still be an above average stack right now. Average is 6,700. So there's a lot of players who are looking to get up to my level of chips. ZZ back doing work six-handed. You know, the guy, I got to give him credit, man. Whatever the hell he's doing, I think I went heads up with him the last time I played six-handed, and he's crushing six-handed again tonight. So God bless the kid, man. You know, not knowing how he's playing, you just got to respect it. You know, if your chip stack keeps moving up in these tournaments, You know, whether you're playing good or playing bad, you got to respect it. Don't like this bet of 100. Don't like the call of 100. I mean, Peelman just showing, you know, I can't, like, this bet just tilts me. Like, just this single 100 chip bet into a 1500 chip pot, 100% just tilts me. Ace King of Spades here, not really going to be overplaying. My raise has been to about 3x. So I think I'm going to keep my raises in the 3x range. I could be raising the 4x, but there's really no need to. I think 3x gets the job done a lot. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what Peelman's thinking about. Rich NYC may look me up, may not. Come on, Rich. I kind of like this hand. I want to play it. Part of the plan here when you raise is to make sure that you get in position. Like, you know, I'd much rather, if I'm going to play the hand, I'd rather be playing against a small blind or a big blind. Because why? Because then I'm always in position against that player. So, you know, if you make a raise and somebody calls you behind, like maybe the button, you know, calls you, then you kind of don't like Ace King a lot. But, you know, if you are going to play Ace King and you get a chance to play it in position, then, you know, even if you miss, you still are very likely to be winning the hand. So we've reached a part of the tournament where everybody decides that it's time to just limp, and min bet, and min call, and suck. You know, the fact that these bets are getting through and not getting raised, I should be running this table over. I'm just not in a spot where I'm having the hands where I can be running these players over. Rich with the obligatory raise to 300. Maluzzo with the super strong looking raise. Oh my god. Rich is calling this 100% of the time. It's not even a question. So Maluzzo has to make a decision. Does his opponent have an ace or not? And he bets half pot. He snap bets half pot, and now he's in trouble. He's probably going to check. Rich is going to continuation bet. Or should be continuation betting. Maluzzo checks again. Rich probably makes a bet. Maluzzo has to fold. So, you know, Maluzzo made that half pot size bet on the flop to make sure or figure out right then and there if his opponent ever has an ace, and Rich passes the test. So at least we know that when Rich raises from the button, he's doing so with an ace. And you might say, well, John, how the hell would you know? If Maluzzo decides he's going to shove all in, I think... Oh man, this is fucking tough because I actually really do believe Rich NYC here. I'm going to raise to 3,600 and hopefully Rich just sees that as ultra strength. I don't know what I want to do if Rich shoves over the top of me. I think if he shoves over the top of me, I just go away. Yeah, that's fine. You can show me sixes, bro. I got nines. Versus jacks. Okay. So pair versus pair versus pair, and looks like we're going to lose. Whatever. But Rich had the plan here. I mean, Rich made this raise knowing that if Maluzzo goes all in, he's calling. And at the very least, he sees that I raised him off his hand and correctly raised him off his hand. So I double up Maluzzo there, which kind of sucks. But what do you want me to do at nines five-handed, huh? You want to just fold? That's not part of my MO. We don't just fold nines five-handed. We see flops. And sometimes those flops are expensive. You know, the question is whether or not I should have sucked Rich into this pot. Like, if he ever has sixes, am I ever in a spot where I want him in? And I think no. But I do think his raise kind of said to me, you know, he's expecting Maluzzo to be moving all in, and he's obviously, by showing me the sixes, was planning on making that call and losing. So, just kind of unfortunate that I have nines when my opponent, you know, overshoves with jacks. You know, because I actually, you know, even though I may be, you know, putting Maluzzo on a big hand, you know, he did just lose a relatively large hand to Rich NYC the hand before, right? So what do we know about players who just lose a big hand prior? Sometimes they spaz out and move on with ace-3. Trust me, I know. I've been there. You know, and if my opponent ever just has ace-3 in that spot, then I'm just so far ahead, it's not even funny. Good. Finally, Bill decides it's time to be betting an amount that you should be betting instead of 100 and seeing the river every single time. Peelman probably has like a 4. I don't even want to. Peelman, dude. I don't even want to know what you have. I mean, the fact that you're just betting 100 all the time, like, hopefully that works out. Here's how this is going to work out. Let me call my shot here. Peelman's going to actually be in a spot where he bets 100 and is going to have it. He's going to have like a set of 10s, and I'm going to want to make him pay, and I'm going to be raising him with just a pair, and he's going to snap me off and say, ha ha ha, I tricked you. You know, thank God we have some people who actually want to play some poker here. Like this limping stuff, I just... Whatever, bro. Limp call, limp call, limp call. Piss me off. I don't even want to see the way this hand friggin' works out. I'm gonna go get a beer. I'm stressing. God, I'm so impatient right now. I like the bet from Rich. This little half pot size bet, gonna take it down on a paired board. That flop hits nobody. Queen 10, good for a raise for me. I think maybe I should be raising to 4x, but I think 3x is good enough for me. Because I think 3x is still relatively callable light, so I think I might just change my raises to 4x. I think a half pot size bet is the right thing to do here. You know, Bill has shown that he wants to look me up for at least one street. You know, at least one street he wants to look me up. So I'm gonna bet 790. And I think he continues with all his kings. You know, I think Bill's just in a spot where he wants to look me up on at least one street and see if I'm going to be firing multiple barrels. I mean, the last time I fired multiple barrels on him, he snap raised me. So for me to be firing a second barrel against him again, maybe he thinks that I think he's going to snap raise me. Maybe he's gotten to that level of thought. But you know, what can my opponent possibly be calling a half pot size bet here with unless he has 7s? You know, if my opponent has 7s, then yeah, sure, you know, call it. And then the second overcomes and I make another significant bet. But again, we're not in the mood to be checking, bro. Today is not a check fold day, okay? Today is a bet fold day. If I'm gonna fold, I'm gonna at least have tried to win some chips. Early on in this tournament, like I said, with the amount of chips that we have, it does play like a cash game, but as the blinds get up to 75, 150 and they start to grow, it does start to play a lot more like a tournament. So you know, the amount that you're betting will start to represent a significant amount of your opponent's chips. Let's see. What do I want to do at 10s here against Peelman? Do I want to raise Peelman, or do I want to call or limp against Peelman? Do I really want to get crazy with pocket 10s here? What do I want to do? Let's limp. And maybe Peelman just raises us? I'm just playing this all wrong. Don't know how I feel about this flop. But I think I'm in check call mode. You know, if my opponent ever wants to, you know, bet his draws there, I think I call. In this spot, I'm probably ahead most of the time. I think all clubs continue, so I think I'm just going to bet 157 and hopefully a club continues. And if a club pops off, then maybe we can just get away from our hand. You know, the only hand that we're really afraid of at this point is ace-10, right? Ace-10 is the only hand that beats us. Well, no, obviously a flush beats us, but I just don't think our opponent is not raising with a flush. So I think I'm just going to check, and maybe my opponent wants to bluff bet at this sometimes, but I guess he doesn't. So we made the minimum, I guess. Well, what do you have called a raise pre-flop? Oh, well, you know, we actually got to a point where he had a pair, so, you know, maybe he doesn't call the raise pre-flop and then we just lose out on the extra 157 chips, but just a really dangerous situation all in all for us. Very dangerous. Check the lobby again because I can't wait for this tournament to just end. ZZ Back still on top here. Tomb Raider's doing really well right behind him with more than a double stack. Look, invAAsive in third place. Chris DiCarlo doing really well. Bill decides he's going to sit out. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's drinking. Maybe he's doing shots. Bill, if you're doing shots, man, I don't know why I'm not on the text. I think with tournaments, like I think if it was me and Peelman and Rich all in the same house, I think we could all play in the same tournament. I think there's a thing where if you, like, your IP address gets tracked, right? So if you're playing in a cash game online, you can't play at the same cash game as somebody else that's playing from your same IP address just because of the cheating situation. But I think tournaments is a little bit different. Like, I do think that if you, like, if I was sitting at Tuna's house and we could both be playing in the exact same tournament and theoretically, you know, be seeing each other's whole cards, you know, and not playing against each other that way, although that doesn't benefit either one of us. But, you know, any one of these players theoretically could be sitting, you know, these two could be sitting at the house doing shots right now, and, you know, we would never know because you're allowed to have multiple accounts play from the same IP address as long as it's not in a cash game. We do get a pretty substantial raise here from Maluzzo. It looks very, very strong that he's making this raise when the 7 of diamonds comes out. For him to be checking right now, I don't know what to think, why he would be checking. I want to see, you know, I'm trying to figure out Maluzzo. I kind of have written him off as somebody who doesn't quite get it, but let's see if Maluzzo calls here so that we can see what Maluzzo is playing his hand this way with. It's actually a really nice bet here from Peelman. And, okay. So Peelman decides he's going to stick his neck out there and try and win the pot. And maybe it was a really good check from Maluzzo. Like, maybe Maluzzo's thinking that he has a read on Peelman, where he feels like Peelman is just going to be bluffing. But I mean, the 7 is such a scary card. The fact that it's a spade is such a scary card. And yet Maluzzo still doesn't have it in his body like that he would ever be afraid of those hands. So let's just take a look at the way Maluzzo ends up playing this hand. And he's able to get Peelman to, or he's able to induce Peelman to be making a 1,000 chip bet, trying to bluff win on a flop. So Maluzzo basically, we already know what Maluzzo has. He has top pair. And we know that Peelman is in there with an 8-9. I believe it was 8-9 suited. Which is fine. You want to limp with 8-9 suited, that's fine. But Peelman, dude, you're limping way too much. I hate it. So we get a check and a check. So Maluzzo here on this board is checking his top pair, which, considering there's more than 10% of his chip stack out there, I think is just a huge mistake. Unless his plan is obviously to be check raising somebody. You know, maybe check raising Peelman, but even then I don't like it. So that's fine. So the 7 pops off, and maybe that is a safe card for him. Maybe he's thinking, since, you know, maybe he is just kind of, you know, Maluzzo, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here and say that, you know, if your opponent does bet this flop, maybe you feel like you can get away from it because you only have a king-6 and your kicker's not so good. So, you know, actually, now that I think about it, maybe I do like the check here from Maluzzo on the flop, because now he's relatively confident, if not 100% confident, that he has the best hand, because the 7 really doesn't help anybody. It doesn't complete any draws. So the 240 chip bet is essentially a half pot size bet, a little bit more than a half pot size bet. And Maluzzo decides that he's not going to fuck around with you guys and allow draws to continue. So I really do like this raise from Maluzzo. Again, it looks very strong. I like it a lot. And Peelman sees with his 8-9 that he is drawing to how many outs? So he has a jack, that's 4 outs, or a 6, that's 4 outs. So he has 8 outs twice. So Peelman is a 16% odds-on favorite to win this hand, right? So 16% means he has to win this hand. He has to be getting basically 1 to 7, basically, or 7 to 1. I'm sorry, to be making this call. So by calling 600 to win a 1,275 chip pot, he's essentially getting 2 to 1 on a 7 to 1 offer. So he's being offered 2 to 1 when he's only, I don't know. You understand my point. Basically, I'm kind of fucking up in the way that I'm describing it, but basically, what's being said here is Peelman's not getting the right price to be calling this. Like, in order for him to be calling this, he has to be maybe calling 100 to win, or 180 to win the 1,200. But 7 to 1, not really good. Maluzzo decides he's going to be raising on the small blind here, and whatever, that's fine. Rich NYC has shown he's been playing really, really tight aggressive. And not getting out of line. We gotta take a note on Rich NYC. But anyways, Peelman decides that maybe there's some implied odds, but I just don't think Maluzzo has enough chips where the implied odds even make sense if he does hit his card. And there's so many scary cards out there. And we're gonna set mine here for 300 chips, let Peelman make a decision. I probably could have moved all in. I think the old me probably would have moved all in. But I think I'm just gonna set mine here and hopefully hit a 4. If I don't hit a 4, I can just get away from the hand. I should have bet this ace there, because I don't know that all of my opponents have an ace. Peelman makes a half pot size bet. Oh, when he doesn't make a half pot size bet, then I think I'm in really good shape. I think I'm just going to bomb this, and maybe I get a bunch of folds. If somebody has a 10, they're obviously calling. If they don't have a 10, then I don't know what to do. When we do get a call from Rich, I don't necessarily know what that means or why he would be calling. The only thing we're really ahead of is a flush draw. But if he does have a 10, he's just going to be betting a lot, and that's pretty much it. So we can just fold. But we made that bet on the assumption that our opponents didn't have a 10. So could we have bet less? I guess we could have bet less, but our bet was very strong. Our bet sizing was meant to tell us exactly what our opponent has, and we already know that Rich NYC is playing extremely tight aggressive in these spots. So, he's not going to be, doing that on a flush draw. I don't think he's going to be doing that on a flush draw. So we know with 100% accuracy, not that our 4s aren't good, but we know with 100% accuracy that our opponent has a 10. Speaking of 10s, we have made it to pair status, which is always nice. This Peelman bet right here is subject to being raised. If I'm Rich, I'm raising him all day. So yeah, so Rich decides that he's going to raise to 600, and what do I want to do? Because I already know Peelman's not calling. So it's just whether or not I want to peel for 600, and I'm just not getting the right price. Like, what are my outs, right? So I could be drawing dead right now, right? Like, he could very well have, like, a queen 9. He could have a set. So I'm really drawing the straight cards, and, I have 9s. So that's pretty much it. So I think I just fold, and Peelman folds, and we just go and see another card. See another flop. Probably good that I got away from this hand. I mean, Peelman, dude, you're digging your own grave. You're gonna get raised again. Rich, you're fucking up, bro. Like, if you really have a hand where you need to be raising, you cannot just be calling this. Like, oh my god, so bad. What are you doing? Oh man. For Peelman to get away with this bet with just a 10, oh my god, this is just fucking terrible. Like, I'm not mad at you guys as much as I'm mad at myself. Oh my god, Rich, what are you doing, bro? Like, fine, I like the raise, but you have to continue. Oh. Oh my god. This pains me. It pains me to see Peelman get away with that 120 chip bet. It just pains me to see it. What was I going to do? That's not what I was going to do. Whatever. I'm so heated right now. Like, the way that Peelman's playing poker right now just has me fucking so heated. It's not that he's playing bad, it's that people aren't recognizing how to play against him, and I just can't stand it. And I think actually Rich just calls with the freaking queen high too, with the king queen high. I think he ends up just like calling with a queen high, king high, the 100 chip bet. What hand is that? Yeah. So you know when this 3 pops off, Rich still calls the 120 chip bet with a king high. I mean, come on, Rich. What are you doing, bro? Like, do you have any idea what you're doing against this opponent? Like, why would you just call with a king high? Like, what do you think your opponent has when you're calling with king high on the river? Like, I guess I'm kind of happy that you called with king high just so I can prove to my audience here what a knucklehead this Peelman guy is and the way that he bets and how exploitable it is. But it's just fucking crazy. Sorry, Peelman. Peelman, if you're watching this video, let me apologize because it's not just you. It's the fact that I'm extremely impatient right now with the way that this poker table is going. It's making me nauseous. Let me show you how impatient I am. I'm just going to shove all my chips in the middle because I don't care. Like, you guys limping, it's just never good. Like I hate when you limp, especially if you're going to limp on my big blind. Fuck you guys. I raise. I'm all in. Eat shit and die. Like, I can't stand when players play this way. Define your hand, figure out how to play poker. If you're going to play pussy passive poker, you know, the kiddie tables are down the street. That's what I heard. So I just don't like the play. I hate the play. Finally, a decent-sized bet from Peelman, and it finally works. Blinds are up, 75-150, still not going to put us in too much trouble. We're sitting with roughly 55, 54 big blinds, which is probably an average stack. 7,300 is an average stack. We have 7,300. Not for nothing, I do like the way Maluzzo's been playing. This is now his like 4th or 5th 3-bet pre-flop. And when you're playing 5-handed, the 3-bets are going to work a lot of the time. And they should be a very big part of your game. So I do like Maluzzo making his 3-bets. And he has shown that he's willing to make 3-bets in a 6-handed game. So why don't I get smart here and take a note on Maluzzo? Not that I give a shit, but gets out of line sometimes. Okay. Also, 6-handed makes a good amount of 3-bets pre-flop on main raises. Alright. I like it. So I like it, Maluzzo. I like your play. Nice big bet from Bill here. Probably going to get the job done. Although that is a scary card for Bill. But he's bet a third of what Peelman has. So Peelman is basically in all-in or fold mode. It's very difficult for you to call a third of your chips on this particular board. So you're either all-in or you're folding. So let me just take a note on Rich NYC. Weaker betting, but not getting out of line. And he's not. I mean, he's really not getting out of line. I know Rich, whatever, but I didn't like your heads your call with King High. But at the very least, you called so I can discuss the way that Peelman is making his bets and sort of put proof to the test here that these little min bets from Peelman are just completely, you know, weak and exploitable and raisable. It's kind of a scary 5 of diamonds out here because if you do get raised, you just hate it. I do think Maluzzo looks him up for just one more card. You know, I think this min raise is going to get put Peelman in a really good spot. So Maluzzo's checking all the time here, and Peelman more than likely is going to be making a bet of like 650 or something callable. Actually, he's been betting 120 too, so yeah. So I really like this bet from Peelman, and you know it's super strong. And Maluzzo snap folds, so he's obviously going to draw in that spot and missed with the king, which is fine. Not mad. You guys just keep playing chip tag and hitting each other with friggin' 300 chips at a time. Peelman limping, not surprised, but there's not a whole lot I can do with Jack 3 here in the big blind, so I think I'm just going to hope to flop well. Can I ever get Peelman to fold? I guess not. I think I just check fold. The sick shit is, like, if he bets 120, to me it's a lot more believable than when he bets 300. I don't know why, but that's just the way it's working out in my read. Ace-Deuce here out of the small blind. I don't want to play this hand. Like, if it gets raised here, do I really want to be calling out of the small blind? I think I'm calling just for the flush. Like, I'm not calling for the ace, right? So I'm not really, I don't give a shit if I hit an ace. So I have to tell myself before this happens that if I hit an ace, I could probably get away from it. But if I hit a flush draw, I'm never getting away from it. So, oh man, this is a good spot for me to be bluffing. But Bill has shown he really doesn't want to hear any of my bluff shit. He's just going to be calling me on any street. So I'm not mad at it. So obviously we were gambling there with the 2 spades, and we see 0 more spades for a total of 2 spades with 2 more cards to come, so a flush just can't happen. So that would be a good time to fold. Pocket King's always a fun hand to play. Don't think I'm going to be limping, so the question is how much am I going to raise to? Am I going to min-raise? I don't think I'm going to min-raise, but I think I'm going to bet 450 and maybe my opponents continue. Yeah, I'm going to bet 600 for fun. Just for fun. Yeah, even if I get a fold, I'm just happy betting the 600. Bill, you're folding, bro. Come on, you're folding. Don't pretend you're not folding. Shows the 7-3 offsuit. Thank you, sir. I think I'm probably more likely to get him to call than by betting 600 than I am by betting 300. LOL. LOL, Bill. So when the action kind of slows down for me like this, you know, and we'd love to just be in beast mode here, right? Like, we'd love to just be running over the table, you know, doing everything that we can, but, you know, if our opponents aren't going to call us when we have our good hands, then we just got to make it up and having some bad hands. I do like this check raise here from Bill because Rich really can't have anything good. Like, even if he has an 8, he has to fold. So I really do like this raise from Bill, if he recognizes that. Like, if Bill ever doesn't have 2 pair here and is making this raise, then it's just a really good raise. I kind of don't... I don't know. I kind of don't... Like, I want to take like a 20-minute break and come back to this tournament. I'm just not playing my best, I don't think. Like, obviously I'm being aggressive, and being aggressive is a big key here, but, you know, the 3 bets have been introduced to this table, and they're getting through successfully, and this is the first time that we've played at a table, a 6-handed tournament where 3 bets are happening very frequently. So it can get me in a lot of trouble, so even if I am playing well, I just need to remember that, you know, maybe I just need to be a lot more patient than I am being. And sometimes taking a break and coming back to it might be the right move. Queen 8, not going to be folding. to a min raise. You know, I have decided that I wanted to be this guy Peelman. I don't know. You just get me. You get me rubbed the wrong way, bro. Ace Jack 4. Do I ever think my opponents have an ace in this spot? And I think the answer is no. No one's really said that they have an ace, so I think I can make a pot size bet here and really put a lot of pressure on my opponents to be folding. You know, if Peelman really does have like a jack here and wants to continue, that's fine. But I never think Peelman has an ace if he's just limping, and guy in the small blind here probably doesn't have an ace either. So it's just a matter of whether or not, it's not, again, sometimes in poker it's not what you have, it's what you think your opponents have. And if you can successfully put your opponents on a range of cards, then you can start to make bets and represent some hands that maybe, you know, maybe you call them bluffs, but I kind of don't call it bluffing when I know where I'm at. How cocky does that sound? Like, how much of a dick do I sound like when I'm like, oh, well, I know exactly where my opponents are, so when I bluff, it's not really bluffing. It's just betting when you know that your opponents are going to fold. Yeah, I guess you could misconstrue that as cockiness. Me and him decides he's going to commit a ton of chips here. I mean, if me and him ever has, like, aces or kings, he needs to just be moving all in at this point. If he has jacks or queens, maybe he calls. Maybe tens he's doing this with. Maybe nines he's doing this with. Ace king maybe, but I just don't think this bet is I don't think this call is ever aces or kings. It's probably more likely ace queen. I think if you put me to the test and said what does me and him have right now, I'd say ace queen. And I was wrong. Ace king. And that's going to be a wrap for Rich NYC. It's going to be doubling up me and him. Me and him gets to the table. First hand gets the suited ace king. And doubles through Rich. That's got to be frustrating. So we're down to our final two tables. Normally when I start these videos, I wait till I get to the final two tables, and it's because I kind of don't want you guys to be sitting through a super long video. But I also noticed that when I was, like the last couple times I played, like I think I played on Wednesday and Thursday and then Sunday of last week, and I started my videos late, right? So for the first hour or so that I was playing, yeah, I guess there were some hands that were kind of interesting, but really it wasn't all that interesting. But I noticed that there was a little bit of a difference in my play in that now sitting here with you guys, and this is something that I think that maybe if you're home in a room by yourself, I would like to invite you guys to try to do something similar to what I'm doing right now, which is to talk out your thought process. And when you're talking out your thought process, right, so I'm going through you know, why I'm in a hand, what line I'm taking. By talking that process out, sometimes it keeps me from making mistakes. It wasn't always that way. Like I guess when I first started talking while I was playing poker, it was a little bit distracting, as I would imagine that you would think. Oh wow, here we go. Looks like Rich has blown up with a straight flush draw, and Maluzzo has correctly called with just a pair and rivered a full house. What did Maluzzo call? Did he call that with just a pair? A pair and a flush draw. Okay. You know, this is unfortunate. You got a pair and a flush draw and a straight flush draw versus a pair and a flush draw and the board pairs. So it's a really tough spot for both of these players. And Maluzzo maybe correctly like in that one instance correctly makes the call, but if he was playing against a much more skilled player, maybe incorrectly makes that call. But again, Maluzzo was feeling like gambling, and it didn't risk all of the rest of his chips, so I don't know if I'm too mad at the call. Anyways, when you sit and you are talking out loud about the way that you're playing a hand, sometimes you'll say something, like you'll just say something, and it reminds you about the way you should be playing it when you weren't thinking about it. Like I'll be internally thinking, You know, because PokerStars, what, only gives you like 60 seconds to make a decision. So I'll be saying, what are my options? Should I raise? Should I call? Should I fold? You know, if I raise, how much should I raise to? Should I bet half pot? Should I bet 2/3 pot? And I'm saying these things, but I'm not hearing it. It's just thinking it. But when you actually say things out loud, sometimes the answers come a little bit more clear. And you're able to really justify the way that you play a hand, and sometimes you're able to make correct laydowns or make correct calls, because just hearing yourself say something out loud, this is like the 8th time Peelman has just limped on my big blind, so you know, eventually I'll get to a point where I get to raise him. Do I think my opponent is ever just, like, am I ever slow playing in this spot? And I think maybe I should slow play. No, I don't think I'm going to slow play. I think slow playing is wrong, because there are some draws out there that continue. So, you know, maybe Maluzzo decides he's going to continue with some draws, but he does have enough chips where maybe he wants to continue for just 600 more. Whatever. I mean, because what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is I just call, right? And then maybe Peelman calls behind me, and then like the 5 of diamonds comes out. And now I don't know where the fuck I am in the hand. So I have to check, or I have to make a bet into, like, if the 5 of diamonds comes out, or like the 7 of diamonds comes out, it's just the worst case scenario for me. So there are some cards that really are going to make me not want to continue. So rather than call and possibly go 3-way to a turn on a very drawy flop, especially since none of my opponents raise pre-flop, so this very well could be right in their wheelhouse. You know, if somebody called with pocket 4s, you know, maybe Maluzzo has pocket 4s in that spot and wants to get lucky, but again, I just don't think I'm in the mood to be slow playing, you know, 2-pair, because it is a very vulnerable 2-pair. Like, if I had King 7 on a King 7 deuce board, I think, yeah, I slow play it. But on that board specifically, if Maluzzo's going to show any strength, I think maybe he's semi-bluffing and has a hand like 5-7, and, you know, maybe will make a calling mistake. So I just need to make sure I get some value out of my top 2 on the flop right there. It's a very scary flop to be betting, so you really need to make sure that you have it, because it's hard for opponents to fold when they hit these cards. So if Maluzzo decides that he's going to bet, he better make sure he can call a raise. So it looks like we have a straight on board. I wouldn't be surprised to see me and him call this all-in bet from Maluzzo. Maluzzo is more than likely going to be betting all-in here, and me and him will just call. So yeah, so, you know, Maluzzo's getting 100% completely out of line, and it's just like, oh man, this guy just, like, what's my note on him? Gets out of line sometimes. Like, that's my note on the guy, gets out of line sometimes, and, you know, what are we witnessing? Just, you know, he's capable of running some elaborate bluffs, so I just need to remember that too. But anytime you have a player who's capable of running elaborate bluffs, 6-handed is where it's going to work a lot. 9-handed, there's enough players playing 9-handed that there's going to be somebody who ends up having a hand. 6-handed, you can run these elaborate bluffs and it's going to be kind of profitable. Let's take a look at the lobby just for fun here. Looks like ZZ Back is still crushing it. Chaos Kid, who we are very familiar with, is not too far behind. Maluzzo has shown some some 3-barrel bluff prowess, and he's able to chip up to the 10,000 chip range. And that's kind of our goal right now, because when we get to when there's only a final table, you know, we kind of want to be in the 10,000 chip range. We have some goals. So what exactly are our goals right now? I mean, do we have any goals for the chip stack that we'd like to have? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd like to have, you know, 9,000 chips within the next blind level. You know, that's not hard to do, because when you raise, you're raising to 400 or 500, so the pot's are already going to be bloated to 1,000 chips, even on min raises. So I think having a goal of 9,000 chips by the end of the blind level should be relatively attainable. So let's just make that a goal. I know I haven't set very many goals, but let's make that a goal. All in from Peelman here with an ace, flush draw, not flush draw. from Maluzzo, and he rivers to pair. Holy Jesus, Mary, Mother of good cards. Sick is right, sir. You know, sometimes the poker gods are shining down upon you, and the cards just flop your way, bro. So whatever you're doing, it's working. And I don't think I'm necessarily afraid of your stack at this point, because I do kind of understand how you got your chips, right? Like if I came from another table and I saw this chip stack, I'd say, oh wow, Maluzzo's killing it. But all things considered, he's kind of backing into the chip lead here, so I don't think I buy your story that you're crushing this tournament right now. That's twice I've friggin' flopped 2 pair. What did I have? King 5 the last time? What did I have? Yeah, King 5 the last time would have been the winner. Not that I really am ever playing Deuce 7, but Deuce 7 more than likely is the winner in this spot. Oh my god. Oh my god. What do you want me to do? Seriously, what do you want me to do? You want me to start playing these shit hands? Because if that's what you want me to do... Oh. If I knew my opponents were... If I knew these were the hands my opponents were going to be going bananas on, then... Oh my god, like... Talk about frustrating. Come on, Bill, don't call this. You're never ahead if you call. We are playing four-handed, so I do think we can open up our game a little bit. But I just don't think 7 high is good enough to start. We do have 9 minutes to hit our goal of 9,000 chips. So we're just going to pick a good spot. You know, maybe make a raise to 600 and, you know, hopefully make a C-bet and get that much closer to getting to our 9,000 chips. Min bet and a call here. Check, check. So a lot of weakness going on in this hand. Any bet's going to win. And Bill decides that he is the strong man in that staring contest. 9-3, not going to get the job done. Think I'm just going to be folding. I think when you play four-handed, it is important to kind of take your time, because even though there are cards where you are on autopilot and you're snap folding, there's a lot of spots where you probably shouldn't be snap folding. Like, for example, it's arguable that I could have made a raise on the button with my 5-7. It's even arguable that I could be raising out of the big blind here with Queen Jack, but I think I'm just going to be checking and hoping my opponent decides he's going to stick a little bet out there, and he will very happily oblige. Let's see, 1,500. If I move all in here, does that get me 9,000? I think it does. I think if I move all in and both my opponents fold, I think I have 9,000 chips. So that would be fun. And I'd do it 8 minutes earlier. It's actually kind of shitty that my opponent is actually thinking about this. You know, maybe he calls with Jack 9 or something, but I just think there's enough chips out there where I can just take the pot down right here. Maluzzo, come on, you're not calling. Seriously, you're not calling. Oh, so close! So close! 8,992! So close to our goal of 9,000 chips, man. We almost made it. I thought the math was there. Thought we were going to make our 9,000 chips. Turns out we were just a couple hundred short. Maluzzo says, nice bet. I concur, Maluzzo. I concur. That was a nice bet. Oh my god. I'm just being punished right here for my four-handed nittiness. You know, I have done... You know, I've made the final table the last 2 times we've played six-handed. I think the poker gods are looking down on me and saying, look, John, you know, this can't... we're gonna frustrate you to no end. We're gonna give you the cards. We're gonna give you the winners. And, you know, we're really gonna test your resolve. And you're going to have to make it through some piss-poor situations. It's a good spot for me to be raising. I think the quicker I raise, the more it looks strong. Don't know what I want to do here. I think I can just check behind, and hopefully my opponents will stick a little bet out. When none of my opponents bet, I think I'll call the 200. Do I think my opponents ever have a better hand than me right now? I don't know. Oh my god, let me just think about this for a second. Does my opponent have Queen Jack? I think he does. I think I let my opponent get there. No, turns out I didn't. So, I mean, the line he took looks like Queen Jack, but I think I got 3-4 to put some money in the middle when I never was going to get 3-4 to put any money in the middle. So maybe I played my aces the right way, which is nitty. So that's another thing these poker gods are challenging me. They're saying, John, if you flop top pair, you're going to have to play it like a nit bitch, and that's the only way you're going to make chips is if you play like a knucklehead. All right, poker gods, I'll just slow play my fucking medium kicker pairs. We have made it to straight status, which is always nice. I don't want to get raised and blown off my hand. Do I think I have the best hand here? Sometimes. I think I could be making a bet, but I think I just check and wait to see if Maluzzo wants to stick some chips out there. What am I ahead of? I think I just call. Maluzzo might make a bet here. I mean, he's shown he gets out of line sometimes. 900 chips, huh? Alright, Maluzzo, you win. I do think that this is a full of shit bet. I do. I do think this is a full of shit bet. But you win. So, we have 4 minutes left to our goal of 9,000 chips. So now what's our goal? If our goal is 9,000 chips at the end of the round, then what do we have to do to make the 9,000 chips? Well, we just have to not lose 1,300 chips, right? So let's just do that. Let's just not lose 1,300 chips. Let's build our chip fortress, okay? I'm going to get my tools, and we're just going to build a nice little fence right around here from empty seat to Maluzzo with all of our green chips, and make a little chip fortress, and nobody is touching our 10,367 chips unless the blinds come around for the next 4 minutes. We are going to make it to the next level with at least 9,000 chips. That's my word. Do I call it all in here? Oh my god, this motherfucker. Whatever, dude. Oh! Oh, this pains me so. Oh my god, guys. No. Slap myself on the wrist. No. No. Don't you do it. 3 minutes left till you make your 9,000 chips. What do you want me to do with ace-9? Oh my god, this is... Honestly, guys, if you're watching this video, I'm sorry, but I just can't. Like, I can't... You know, if me and him has ever bluff min raising in that spot, like, I really am putting him on pocket kings. You know, or something that he knows he's definitely getting called with. Like, there's very few poker players that are that bad that are going to make that raise without having a pair. You just have to be really bad at poker to be making that raise without a pair. Do I think all diamonds continue? I do, so I'll just check behind. Like, I just don't see a reason to be putting more money in this pot when I have 0 equity. I think I can be betting 250. And if he doesn't have a diamond, he just goes away. I mean, if he does have a diamond, I guess he could outplay me. Good, we have some 9,000 chip insurance. Now we have 9,500 chips with 2 minutes left to go, guys. Let's see if we can hit our goal. You guys, you're fucking kidding me, right? Like, is there somebody I can talk to about this? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Oh my god. I mean, if me and him is just going to be bluff betting all in here, it's just a really good... Oh, what are you doing, bro? Am I getting outplayed by this asshole? Like, is it possible? Is there a world where I'm just being outplayed by this asshole? You know, I'm four-handed with ace-queen. So sick. I'm so sick to my stomach right now. I wish I just fucking just was able to just make a bet and put people all in. I guess technically I could. I could be making these bets and putting people all in. I think my opponents, you know, based on my behavior, are maybe expecting me to just be shoving all in. You know, I am probably who they think is the weakest player at this table. Like, I'm sure all my opponents are looking at me saying, you know, this guy's making really weird bets. He's making pre-flop raises and check folding, which, honest to God, is just terrible poker. Like, if you're ever making pre-flop raises and check folding, then you're just in a really bad spot. Like, I don't think I'm just going to let me and him just run the table over here and just bet 400. So, you know, if he has a king, I think, you know, maybe I'm in a spot where I just pay him off with my deuce. But, oh my god, and the guy shows up with fucking pocket queens. And he's just playing pocket queens all wrong. Like, oh my god. And then maybe I don't even get paid from fucking Bill here. Like, maybe I just never get paid from Bill and I just lose the friggin' chips that I would like to have from Bill. Oh my god, that's the second time he had 3-7 when I had pocket kings. Alright, Johnny. I don't like my call. I should be raising. Do I think Maluzzo calls? Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do think he calls, but I have taken control of the pot, so I can be making a relatively large bet on turns. Like, I have to really be willing to c-bet on a lot of turns, and Maluzzo has decided that he's just going to ride. Oh my god. Oh, fuck this. I'm just going to time out. Fuck you, Maluzzo. You're just going to have to wait 60 seconds. How about that? You're just going to have to sit back and wait 60 seconds while I fucking steam off and just hate the way that I'm playing. Sit there. Wait. No. You wait. Fucking A. I mean, it's possible I'm getting outplayed, or it's possible that my opponents just have awesome hands. I mean, guys, take a look at the fucking hands that I'm getting here. It's just, it's out of control, the hands that I'm getting that are either not flopping well or just not getting through. You know? When I have pocket kings, my opponents have 7 high. I don't know. I mean, you're honestly seeing a different side of me right now. I'm just impatient and tilting. And I have a player like Maluzzo. You know what I know about Maluzzo, and he gets out of line sometimes. So, you know, do I really want to take that note and run with it? And just say, you know what, next time he fucking raises me, I'm just going to shove on him? Like, No, I'm all in. Fuck you guys. Eat a dick. I think you're going to see a lot of action from me right now, fellas. I mean, I'm just going to have to be calling his all-in if he wants to shove all-in. But I'm just not going to sit back here and allow anybody, not just these players, like nothing against you, Bill, or me and him, or Maluzzo, but I'm just not going to allow anybody to run me over. That's just not going to happen. I'm going to stay alive. Oh, I fucking hate these bets. Like, if that bet ever gets through, that 250 chip bet, it makes me want to jump off a friggin' building. Let's check. We've made it to pair status, which is always nice. Don't think I'm going to be checking my pair. I think I'm definitely going to be betting my pair. Now, Maluzzo has enough like chips where he can just be calling me light. And I think I just check behind. Am I calling rivers? Am I calling river bets? I'm not sure. I do like this bet from Maluzzo because if he has it, great. If he doesn't have it, you know, that's fine. But there's just too many cards out there that beat me. Like any 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beats me. You know, I took a stab at the pot on the flop and it was just pretty much a shitty run out. And I would have made bets, but I just don't think Maluzzo's in a folding mood. So, you know, one bullet is fine for me. And the run out just says you can't have your card. You know, that's fine. You know, there was no raise pre-flop. I lost about 400 chips in the pot, so that's fine. Not really worried about it. What do I want to do here? I think I can fold. I'm not going to lose this tournament by playing scared. Like, playing scared is just not in my vocabulary. And I have a player on my right who is just either backing into the best hand all the time, or God knows. I have no fucking clue. Sorry guys, I was on autopilot and I folded a pair and a flush draw. Because that's honestly the way that, I mean, if you've seen the way these hands have been going against me, I'm going to be having to play these hands in order to make any money. Jack 10, I think I'm just going to be making a pot-sized bet, and hopefully it's going to be getting through. I'm going to be calling an all-in for me and him, but not necessarily calling an all-in from Maluzzo. I think, you know, Maluzzo's at a point where he feels like he can be outplaying me on a lot of flops, and I think I'm just a little concerned about my chip stack versus his chip stack. Could I be making a bet here? I suppose I could be making a bet here, but I really only have 9 high, so I don't want to go crazy with 9 high. You know, because I haven't... I'm going to raise here, and maybe my opponent believes me, but I just don't think he's in the mood to be believing me. I could be betting and getting him to fold like 10s and stuff, but I just don't think I'm ever going to get him to fold like a 10 or a king, so whatever, dude. And you know what, maybe I am being outplayed by Maluzzo. I mean, he's the type of player who is willing to be making calls, But, you know, I just never know if he has it or not. Do you like the call from... I just don't know what I want to do. Yeah, that's fine, dude. I definitely call you. Oh my god. I mean, what the fuck am I supposed to do against these opponents? Like, my bets aren't getting through, and then when they are getting called, when I'm getting called by worse, they're just getting, you know, they're fucking turning better. So sick. Like, my opponents are just playing so sick. Like, they're running good. Alright, let's just press the reset button here and say, okay, well, you have 3,000 chips, right? So you're not out of the tournament, okay? So if you're not out of the tournament, then why are you freaking out? Don't freak out. These guys are the type of players that are going to want to double you up. You just need to not have runouts of deuce 3. You just can't be having those runouts. Yeah, I think I just had to bet, knowing that it's the only way I'm ever going to get those chips over to me, because if I check, I'm giving up. So I just have to bet. I can't even really pretend to have hit this flop. You know, maybe my opponent is just looking me up all the time. I don't know. I don't know, Bill. I mean, if you're that good where you're just going to float call, like, I just don't see how you can be good all the time. Well, I guess if you have a pair of deuces, that's one way to... That's one way. Oh! Oh, it goes through with the pair of deuces. Not good enough. Oh, man. I'm just playing so bad right now. Like, I'm honestly playing as bad as it gets. And it comes from tilt. It comes from my tilt from being impatient, my tilt on the way my opponents are playing their cards, my tilt that my bets really aren't getting through all that much. I am in a state of tilt that I haven't been on this poker site in quite some time. You know, and it's a recipe for disaster. Like, I kind of can already see the disaster coming, where I'm going to be shoving all in and I'm going to be way behind. I can already see it coming. I'm sure you guys at home can see it coming right now too. Like, you're saying to yourself, oh man, the meltdown is coming. Incoming waste of chips. All in and call. Jacks are way ahead. Not so much anymore. And Jacks end up crushing it. So we have the chip leader sitting at our table, obviously, right? And he just has so many fucking chips that we're just gonna... Oh, he's not even the chip leader? Look at him. Who's... Chaos Kid is just crushing it. He's got the chips. Like, Maluzzo's got the chips to be pushing back and just re-raising me all the time, so I just can't. I can't deal with it when a player is bad and also has chips. So, you know, am I just supposed to, like, I guess playing passively and just checking is such a huge weakness in my game where I can't just check when I'm checked to. Like, when somebody checks to me, I can't just say, oh, I check behind and I'm not going to try and win this pot because I'm a complete nerd and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I'll just check behind. Like, I don't have that in my fucking DNA. Like, how can I sit here when my opponent raises pre-flop, then checks to me and not bet? Like, that's part of my game. That's a huge, huge part of my game. It's part of my style. It's part of what makes my game successful. So if my opponent is bad at poker and just wants to put pressure on me and is just saying, hey, I'm just going to shove all my chips in the middle, then I really have to just wait against that opponent? Like, I guess maybe I have to. Like, maybe I'm in a spot where I have to, I don't know, play just stupidly? I don't want to play stupidly. Like, I just don't want to play stupidly. Whatever, dick. Whatever, dick. Suck on those cards. Yeah, suck on those cards. God. I mean, if there's one person I wanted to take chips from, it's Maluzzo. So that all in and suck out feels like a blowjob. Like, it feels so good to have sucked out, to have taken these chips from Maluzzo. Oh, so good. Unbelievable. I guess I can't complain about running bad anymore, right? Ran pretty good on that flop. Ace-9. Me raising pot here. I don't know if I'm just going to be slowing down and just min-betting against me and him specifically, because when I do raise, I'm raising with the intention of calling his all-ins all the time. I think I'll just fold. I know that sounds like a pretty nitty fold, Ace-Jack, but I have enough chips where I can really work well, and I don't want to get involved with a hand with Maluzzo right this second, so probably a nitty fold, but I just got some chips and I'd like to make the top 6, please. I think I'm folding. I need to also be taking more time on my calls and decisions. I almost didn't notice that Tomb Raiders 4 has gotten to the table. He's joining the party. How you doing, Tommy? I have been sitting here kind of sucking at poker for the past hour, and Tommy has been in the chip lead for a very long time, so I don't necessarily like that he's sitting here. He is going to be giving some action and playing well. Now, Maluzzo just has so many chips, it's going to be very difficult to overcome the amount of chips that Maluzzo has. You know, I mean, you really have to show up with a hand, because if Maluzzo wants to play his hand, he's just going to call you and or raise you. Like this bet from Tommy. No matter what he has, I just like it. Queen 5 suited. I think I will be raising and putting my opponent all in if he calls. You know, maybe he calls, maybe he goes all in. I actually don't care. My whole point is, I mean, if there's somebody that I'm going to be taking advantage of, it's going to be this guy right here. Yeah, I call, dude. Whatever. I don't care. I'm calling you anyway. That's unfortunate for me and him, 628. Wow. Okay, so if you guys are watching at home, that is 2 suckouts against better hands. And we have made somehow made the final table. You know, I think I'm just so ecstatic right now. Like you guys have no idea how crazy it is that I'm sitting here at the final table with chips to play. It's just bananas. You know, basically the problem that I have with this table is we have both big stacks to our immediate left. Specifically Maluzzo, who's going to be in the big blind every time we're in the small blind. It's just going to be really, really hard for me to get any bets through. So I think I'm just going to click sit out and take a minute, go take a leak, and really just center myself mentally to put the entire rest of the tournament away. However we got here, however bad we played to get to this final table, we made it. So let me just walk away from the computer for a minute, just for mental sanity. Whew. Alright, what'd I miss? What did I miss? I didn't play ace jack. So that was actually extremely therapeutic, guys. I just went for a walk outside. It's nice and cold outside, and you know, definition of cool off is to take your body temperature and bring it down. We do have a maniac player on our left, Maluzzo. it's going to be very difficult to get through Maluzzo. All the chips are to my left. So, you know, we have a very patient player in DeCarlo, very patient player in Sherry, who, Sherry, by the way, I read an article posted on Facebook today that she took down the Borgata Winter Poker Open Ladies Tournament, got herself a nice little payday and a nice little trophy, and has a picture where she looks extremely excited. Sherry, you look very excited to be the ladies champ. And I also heard that, or read in the article, that you also have a WSOP circuit event. So, you know, good things looking up for Sherry in the way that she's been playing poker. She's been doing really well. You know, she just made a final table down in a live poker tournament, and here we are. And she's made a final table in the online tournaments. So her game is stepping up, but I'm still coming for those chips, Share Bear. Still coming. Very lucky to just get limped in on with 10-5. Wow, okay, so we are going to just check, and Sherry will check behind, and then we'll go to a turn. When she bets 600, I think it's a very safe bet for Sherry, because, like, if I check, she's never putting any more chips in the middle. So I'm going to make it 1800, and if she has an overpair or some sort of better pair, you know, maybe she'll continue, but I just don't think I can just call, because I can't count on my opponent to put any more chips in the middle. I suppose I could have done a stop and go play. I suppose I could have had a stop and go play where I where I just Sherry says you had none of that. And the answer is the answer is I always have it, Sher. Anyways, so I guess there's a possibility I could have, you know, maybe called the 600 bet. So let's just take a look at the way this hand plays out real quick. You know, when Sherry is the only one who voluntarily puts money into the pot, you kind of have to give her credit for having the best hand. She could be doing this with pocket sixes, pocket sevens. She can also be doing it with the ace queens of the world, king queens of the world. So when it checks to her, like when this checks around to her, it is extremely unlikely that any of us have any of this, right? So when she makes this half pot size bet, it's just such a perfect bet whether she has it or she doesn't. So we already know, based on the fact that she didn't call us, that she didn't have it. But the question is whether or not I just call. So if I just call right here, say I call the 600, well, what are my options? My options are to see another card, and once I see the next card, I'm essentially slow playing my 10. Even though it's a bad 10, it's still slow playing my 10, because what would I really be calling with without a 10? Like, am I ever calling her on this bet with just a 3? And I think there's a small part of my range where Sherry thinks I might just have a 3 in this spot, but there's just nothing else out there draw-wise, so she has to be putting me on, or putting a 10 somewhere in my range, very strong. It's a very strong possibility that by me just calling, Sherry's putting me on exactly a 10. So by me raising, though, it looks like I'm making a poker move or a poker play, and there's a lot of really good poker players who will sniff out poker plays. Sherry being one of them. So I don't think that. I think I'm trying to fool Sherry more than I'm trying to get her to make mistakes. So if I do just call, and the next card out, say, is like a 6, alright? So the next card out is a 6. Well, what am I going to do? I could bet, and then Sherry just folds, because why would I call and then insta-bet? Or I could check, and then Sherry can check behind, and then she gets to see a cheap turn and a cheap river. Possibly a chance for her to complete. Like, if she has pocket sevens, she gets 2 more streets to complete her set draws. I guess I could get her in trouble if, say, like a king comes and she has king-queen. I could absolutely be getting her in trouble. But I just don't think I'm ever getting a whole lot of chips out of her. She's just going to be in check call mode the whole time. So it's just like I've actually flopped too well. And, you know, I guess it would have been interesting if she re-raises me. You know, would it have been a poker move if she if she 4-bets me, like, basically enough to put me all in? Am I calling with a 10 but with such a shitty kicker? I don't think 6-handed I can just get away from the hand, but I also don't think that Sherry's ever doing that with less than a better 10 than me, so it would be a really, really tough decision. So Sherry, you know, had you re-raised me, I want you to know that there is a 1.7% chance that I would have just folded. This raise from Sherry, Very safe raise. I think I'll just call. So I really don't hit any of these cards, but she doesn't know that I haven't hit any of these cards. I'm going to bet 945, and maybe she folds a lot of her ace highs. When she snap calls, you know, Sherry's the type of person who will just be snapping me off, you know, even with a jack here, so I could be getting her to fold a lot of hands, but in order for me to be betting this, I really have to have a very tasty hand. And so, yeah, I just don't think, I think Sherry's just in a spot where even if she's, even if she doesn't have anything, she's just going to be outplaying me there a whole lot of the time. You know, you got to give her credit for a good hand here. I think the king is definitely well within her range of hands to be had there. So, so maybe calling with the ace-5 there probably wasn't the best move. But again, when I'm playing six-handed, it's very difficult for me to be folding ace-highs when I'm playing six-handed. For me personally, not you guys. Like you at home, if you guys ever want to fold ace-5 pre-flop, go for it, dude. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad play. Like, if I were to fold ace-5, you could make an argument there that that's really not that terrible a play. I think the more terrible play is me leading out and betting against this board in particular. Because I do think if she has, like, pocket 8s or something, maybe she can get away from it. But I don't think I bet enough on the flop to make her get away from any of her hands. The problem that I have here also is that I have a player, DeCarlo makes final tables left and right, but it's mainly because he just sits back and waits for cards, and I just don't have that in my repertoire right now. Like, even though I went outside and I went to, you know, go take a walk, I just don't have sitting back and waiting as a part of my repertoire. So who do you guys think is going to win this tournament? Just based on chip stacks alone, like you obviously, maybe you're watching this and thinking maybe I'm going to win. I can tell you right now, definitively, that I'm probably the least likely to win this tournament. Out of all 5 of these players, I'm the least likely to win this tournament. If I had, you know, 12,000 chips and Maluzzo had 7,000 chips, I'd say Maluzzo is the least likely to win this tournament. But since Maluzzo's on my left, it has a ton of chips and basically can be calling and snapping off whatever he wants to, I'm just never going to get my bets through over here, so I just don't think I'm very likely to be winning this tournament. Tom, I actually feel like has a pretty decent chance. He's gotten some of his opponents to chip him up very nicely. I think I can make it 1,050 here. Do I ever put my opponent on just a deuce? You know, if my opponent ever has like a jack, maybe she's calling an 1,100 chip bet. Oh my fucking god, are you guys kidding me right now? Holy shit! This is the type of bullshit that I have to deal with. Unbelievable. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. The only card in the deck, the only card, she's drawing 2 fucking outs. 2 outs. So sick. I designed my bet on the turn, right? On the fucking turn, I designed it to get exactly a jack to continue. I knew my opponent has a jack, and I want them to continue because I know they're drawing the 2 outs, and I know my hand is good. Even if she hits 2 pair, my 2 pair is better with kings and deuces. It's just fucking ridiculous. I'm not mad at the play, I'm mad at the way it came out. But again, there's been a number of rivers that I've sucked out on, so maybe I just need to look at the glass as being half full in this spot. So disgusting. So disgusting. I think I'm going to go play Candy Crush. I think that's what I'm going to do after this tournament. I'm just going to go play Candy Crush. Whatever. We did flop a pair, so it's not like we were bluffing, Tommy. Alright? I know it looks bluffy, but we did flop a pair. I have zero strategy right now. Like, my strategy is just to fucking not throw my computer across the room. That's what my strategy is. Which is, I guess, not the worst strategy. If I check, Maluzzo can just bet whatever he wants. By checking, I'm just giving up on the hand. Really, what I wanted to see was 2 clubs. When I see 2 clubs, I think I can bet 550. And maybe my opponent folds. Oh my god, thank God. I'm under the impression that Maluzzo is never folding to any of my bets. So for me to even stick any chips out in the middle, I'm just assuming he's going to be looking me up. And fucking DeCarlo's going to sit there and fold his way to oblivion, and he's going to make 5th place. Like, it's so ridiculous that the way I can see the way the table's playing out already. I can see the way it's going to happen. Chaos Kid's never letting any of his chips go. You know, Sherry's in a spot where she can actually be looking me up really wide. You know, because I really would like to be picking on Sherry's big blind, but she's going to be defending so often that I just really need to flop well against her. Sherry, why are you so fucking good at poker? Don't know about this bet. Feels like a feeler bet. Tommy decides it's good enough for a fold. Sherry, I don't think you had it. Or at least this flop. Maybe you have like jacks or something, but I don't think you have that. I think I can raise here. I think I can feel okay with a raise here. I think min betting in this spot with my chip stack is probably looks stronger than betting anything besides a min bet. So, you know, because basically I'm pot committing myself. Like if I were to raise to 1200, it's just so much of my chips that it's like 20% of my chips to where, you know, I really don't want to pot commit myself right this second. I'd like to just get in position and see what happens. You know, in poker, nobody's going to give it to you, right? They're going to make you work for it, so you're going to have to work for it. Ace-5 suited, very deceiving hand. A lot of people can overplay Ace-5 suited. You know, they can get in spots where they really overplay, but I think I'll show you exactly how you overplay Ace-5 suited. Let me give you guys a lesson on how to overplay Ace-5 suited. You put all your chips in the middle, and you hope for the best. And you lose to Ace-Jack. Dodge a Jack. No Jack. Oh my god. God, oh my god, yo, seriously. Oh my fucking god. Are you kidding me? Oh man. Dude, Chris was setting me up. He's like, this guy's going to move all in. I've got the ace-jack of clubs. He's going to overplay his ace-5 like a fucking... I am playing so bad, it hurts. Like, I actually feel terrible for Chris, because he should be in this game, and I am still in this game. So somehow, you know, I can't even be mad. Like how could I possibly be mad when I have gotten it in bad 3 times in this tournament? Maybe more. Maybe I've gotten in bad even more than 3 times. Ace 10's a good raise here. I think I like my min bet raises to I think I like continuing with the min bet raises based on the fact that I really only have about 30 bigs. So I think raising more than that is unnecessary. Although, you know, if Tuna probably would have made it, you know, 888, and that would have been a lot more calculated. And I harp on calculated bets a lot. But right now, like, my table image, like, let's just talk about this for a second, okay? My table image is shit. It's the pits. It's basically the worst abyss of a table image that you could possibly have, because each and every person that's sitting at this table, at one point or another in this tournament, has seen me overplay a bad hand, suck out, and somehow I'm still in this tournament. So, you know, I'm just playing so bad that to where, like, none of my bets are just ever going to get through. No, the answer is no. Sorry, Maluza. I have the last couple tournaments I played, I think I lost with pocket sixes. I'm a little superstitious with sixes right now. I'm not going to be getting involved in the pot where I'm not the aggressor, and you know, because really all I'm doing is trying to flop a set there. So Tommy and I and Sherry are kind of in the same boat. Chaos Kid is just sitting back, sitting on his chips, you know, building his chip fortress. You know, Maluzo has actually slowed down a whole bunch since we've sat at this final table. You know, really not getting involved a lot at all. King Queen is an obvious raise. I think when Sherry just calls under the gun here, I think I make it 16. I think I make it 16 and, you know, maybe get some players to continue with worse. It does look a little bit steely that I'm doing this from the big blind, but I think players are just willing to get in pots with me because they know I'm just playing really, really bad right now. This would be a really good spot for Chaos Kid to be stealing or squeezing, considering his table image says that he hasn't been getting involved very often. I mean, I am the pre-flop raiser, so I should be the one who is representing an ace. You know, I think my bet is kind of exploitable, but I do think that a lot of hands just fold if they don't have an ace. I guess it's possible that I could have waited a little bit longer to bet. You know, I hate being outplayed, and Maluzo right now is either has a read on me that's really good, or is just hitting fucking cards left and right against me. You know, he did call out of the small blind, so you got to give him credit for maybe an ace in that spot. You know, I'm just not flopping as good as I would like to flop, I guess. I guess this is a pretty good flop for me. I don't think I'm going to be slow playing, because there's really not a lot of draws out there, so I think I'm just going to bet 800 and maybe take this pot down. When I just get called, oh man, if I just got called by an 8, I think I'm in check call mode. I think I'm in check shove all in mode. Like, my opponent really has an 8 in this spot. Well, he is kind of leaving the door open for me. I don't know what I want to do. I mean, I guess maybe he just bombs this and I just have to pay him off. Whatever, dude, I call. Yeah. I mean, you guys saw the way this... You guys already see the way this is working out for me. Like, the flops I'm hitting, it's like an ass backwards tournament. Like, this tournament is just ass fucking backwards. Like, the hands that I'm getting that I'm supposed to be good in, I'm just not good in. And the hands that I'm getting that I'm not supposed to be good in, like, there's so many times where I was, like, folding hands that were flopping 2 pair and just fucking terrible. Like, I guess I'm lucky to have made it as far as I did. And no one's going to be getting involved in any hands until I get knocked out, so I'm just going to have to ride with this hand, King 8, and see what happens. Not really my flop, so I can get away from it. You know, people will make the argument that I could have shoved all in pre-flop, but I don't have any fold equity. Like, Chaos Kid's never folding to my raise, and neither is Tomb Raiders, so it's just inflating the pot when I don't have to inflate the pot. So, I mean, this is obviously code red. You know, basically the time of the tournament where I have no fold equity, so I just have to make sure that my hand holds up. You know, everybody here at the table is looking at my chip stack saying, when the fuck is this guy going to get knocked out? So I'm not going to allow that to happen. Alright, so we get the button, and more than likely we're just going to be all in if it folds to us. How are our opponents going to suck out on us this time? How are our opponents going to suck out on us this time? Well, they can't suck out now. So a little bit of life, I guess. You know, I'm getting a lot of people saying nice hand, but none of you guys really mean nice hand. All of you guys are saying, dude, only the top 4 are getting points. Too bad you didn't get knocked out. I think I'm all in here. I mean, a lot of ace highs are just going to call, but I just don't think I can make it a whole nother round. Like, each time it goes around, it costs me 1,000 chips, so, you know, anything sort of playable, I'm going to have to be putting the rest of my chips in. So, Tommy just calling. I don't think he's going to be folding to an all-in bet, so I think I just check, hopefully see a decent flop. If not, I just get away from the hand. I think I bet 1,300, hoping that Tommy really doesn't want to double me up in this spot, because it does look like I'm betting really big, trying to protect my hand. So, you know, basically we're just gonna have to short stack ninja this into. I think I could just fold here. You know, like I said, I think Maluzzo has all the chips and is the most likely person to be calling our all-ins. So by moving all in with Jack 7, I'm really doing myself a disservice. You know, because if he is calling me, I'm just always behind. Like, he's never calling me with 10 high. So like, if he has like King 6, he's calling. So Tommy decides that he's gonna raise. I decide I'm going to fold. Cherry's got a tough decision because she really doesn't have a lot of chips left, so I mean Tommy's definitely making a continuation bet here. And oh wow, so geez. Okay, so Sherry needs a king or a jack, or just a jack. So yeah, so Tommy gets pocket aces at a very opportune time. I'm going to stay out of this. I'm going to let the other opponents go after her. Maybe they'll go after her. If this gets folded around to Sherry, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Does nobody here know how to play poker? Holy shit. Sherry's drawing to an ace or a 5. Oh, so somehow we fucking backed into top 4, which, you know, isn't good, but it, you know, definitely when you're playing for points is definitely good. I don't think I can just fold here. You know, there's an argument for moving all in, but yeah, top pair here, I'm going to be all in all day, every day. You know, so if my opponent ever has a better hand than me, you know, then fine. I kind of want my opponent to think that I'm bluffing, so I think I'm just going to take my time and shove. Maybe he calls me with like ace high or something like that. Yeah, he calls me with ace high. Which I'm fine with pretty much all the time. So we're able to double through Tommy, and we have figured out a way to get a decent amount of chips. Because my bet does look kind of fishy with me taking the time to move all in. So, you know, all things considered, we were with like 1,300 chips, or we had like 1,300 chips at one point. So we've done a pretty decent job to chip back up to have like maybe 15 bigs. So now we just need to be extremely careful. You know, Chaos Kid's really not going to be making a whole lot of mistakes against us. But now we just kind of have to take our time. Like, Johnny, just take your time, make good decisions. You know, Maluzzo has all the chips in the world. We already know how he plays. So, you know, let him be the aggressor. You know, he's not just going to be, you know, in a spot where he's going to be doubling you up. So, you know, you just have to kind of take your time, John. You know, I'm going to be, if the raises are going to be min raises like this, then I'm going to be getting a lot of opportunities to be defending in big blinds a lot. This is the first time I've seen Chaos Kid 4-bet, and it's such a weak 4-bet that, like, you know, it just looks super strong. Maluzzo should be running the table over. Like, I would be putting Maluzzo on the type of player right now to be running the table over. So I'm going to be defending here if I get min-raised here with the Jack-6 of spades. Tommy making a decision if he wants to raise or not. And he decides to just call. You know, again, I just don't think raising is good here because I just don't think my opponent is ever just limp folding. Pretty much a Yahtzee flop for me. So hopefully my opponent makes a bet and I can just like raise him. When he bets 620, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many chips out there. I'm just going to call the 620 and see what happens. You know, if my opponent ever has a 10, then I'm just in such bad shape. But I still have a flush draw that I'm drawing to. I think I can just call this. And now, I mean, I'm just never getting away from the hand. So now there's a straight out there. So does my opponent ever think that I would be moving all in on a bluff with a straight out there. And I think sometimes he does. So I think I'm just going to take my time and shove. You know, maybe he calls because he thinks there's a straight out there. So, like, why would he ever... Like, it's just so plus EV for me to be shoving and getting him to fold on... I mean, if you're really... I mean, that's actually a really good fold from you, Tommy. I let him know I had it. And Tommy, if you see this video, you'll see that I definitely had it. Definitely not... getting involved. True. Not getting involved with Maluzzo out of position. In position, I will get involved. I think the min raise is the right raise. Nine ten suited, definitely a hand I want to see a lot of flops with. You know, am I ever losing to my opponents when they have jacks or better nines? Yeah, a lot of the time. But that's not going to slow me down from making a continuation bet here. So I think I'm going to make a continuation bet somewhere in the 1400 range. And I think the 1450 continuation bet, yeah, 1450 is probably a really good continuation bet to be making on this flop. When my opponent leads into me, Donk leads into me, I think I have to fold. Just because knowing Chaos Kid, like, there's no reason for him, to be doing this. There's none. Like, he has to just be doing this with a jack all the time. And, you know, Tommy and I are both kind of jockeying for third place at this point. So any mistakes that either of us made are just going to be catastrophic. So, So now it's a patience game between Tommy and I, whether or not we're just going to have the patience to, you know, take shit from Chaos Kid and Maluzzo. And they're really not getting out of line too much. But, you know, Chaos Kid is limping here with 7-deuce when he should never be limping with 7-deuce. And I think that's because, you know, four-handed, you kind of just think any two cards are probably good. So, you know, but 7-deuce is just a fold. It's just a fold. Like, I just don't see it as ever being something that you call and want to play a hand with. Like, why would you ever want to play 7-deuce out of position? You know, I just don't see that as profitable. Let's see what happens here. Tommy may decide he wants to raise. And I think I'm always defending in this spot. So let's just see a flop dealer. Not necessarily my favorite flop. When he insta-half pot bets, I think I just go away. I just go away. Nice bet, Tom. Not really my flop. You know, 8-6 of hearts, pretty hand to be defending with, just not my flop. I mean, anyone who's raising that king, queen, jack, it hits their hand a lot more often than it hits our hand. And again, I just lost a pot, so I'm playing really carefully against Maluzzo, but Tom really isn't raising any of his buttons against Maluzzo. So when I do raise Maluzzo, I really want to make sure that I'm either playing him in position or I actually have a decent hand where I can be continuing on a lot of flops. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, there's lots of opportunity for me to be stealing, but I just don't think that Maluzzo is in the mood to be folding to a lot of my bets. So, you know, I maybe that's an irrational thought. Like, maybe I'm just being 100% irrational, and I could be stealing these big blinds from Maluzzo all the time. But let's just keep in mind my chip stack relative to his chip stack. He can be putting me all in a lot of the time, and he really doesn't have to worry about it affecting him too much. So we flopped an ace here, so we're pretty much never folding. So if I'm never folding, how much do I want to bet? Pop. It's going to be very difficult for Tommy to play back at me. Yeah, I know you have a 10, bro. Dude, I get it. You don't have to show me your hand. You know what? Tommy, I shouldn't say you shouldn't have to show me your hands, but I do understand. Like, I understand the feeling. Like, you're calling, you're seeing a flop, you like the way the flop looks, and I make a bet, and now it's really uncomfortable for you, so I get it. But I haven't been bluffing against you. You know what I'm saying? So, all things considered, I've been playing relatively snugly and haven't been bluffing against you, Tommy, so, you know, you can't blame me. Do I want to defend here with the 10-3 of spades? Nah, I don't think I want to defend here. You know what, let's defend here. Probably should have just folded. Probably should have just folded. Knit Bitchery, that's my name. Fit or fold on the flop. Interesting check back from Chaos Kid. I think I'm going to bet $14.95 on principal alone. You know, maybe... Oh my god, we have a straight. Holy shit, we have a fucking straight. Ha ha! We backed into a straight. There's nothing out there that can beat us, right? Oh my god, there's really nothing out there that can beat us. There's nothing out there that can beat us, so, you know, maybe it's just difficult for him to be folding an ace in this spot. Please look me up. Please, please, please look me up. Please look me up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh my god, I backed into that straight. Are you kidding me? Wow. Nice catch, he says. Yeah, definitely a nice fucking catch, trust me. What did he call me with? Probably an ace, right? Yeah, ace-5. I mean, it's a tough fold. It's a tough fold. Cascade, I don't blame you for looking me up, but my design, I made my bet designed to get you to call me with ace-high. Oh, 10-8, not gonna work. Not gonna work for me, 10-8. Five deuce, same sitch. Same situation with the 5 deuce, not gonna work. Alright, so John, just snap out of it, okay? You have plenty of experience playing four-handed. Like, that's sort of your MO. Like, you know how to play four-handed. You know how to get into spots that are plus EV for you. You know how to make players make mistakes. So, you've worked your way into third place somehow. You know, if you double through the chip leader, you're in really great shape. Chaos Kid has made a 4-bet and has gotten called here. So, we do have a pretty healthy pot here of 6,000 chips. Wouldn't be surprised to see this Paco check-check. Just because of the nature of the board here. So actually, Chaos Kid makes a really wonderful bet. Love Chaos Kid's bet. Because if Chaos Kid ever has aces or kings, it's just a perfect bet. If Chaos Kid shuts down, then Maluzzo maybe thinks that he can take the pot away with a bet. Like, I think Maluzzo thinks, okay, well, if I have a queen, I can just take this pot away right here. So if Chaos Kid ever has it, then he has to just call, but... Really like this bet from Maluzzo because he's putting max pressure. Because if Chaos Kid's ever sitting here with jacks, he's got a huge decision to make. If Chaos Kid has 10s or jacks, he's just like, oh, I hate you right now. And that's probably, based on the way this hand has gone, I'm putting him on 10s or jacks, and he has to make a decision. Why are you showing an ace? Like, why do you think that's worthy of being shown? Like, what do you think Maluzzo's in there with? Deuce 7 out of the big blind, not going to be defending. Even for a min raise, not going to be defending. Not going to be defending, John. Don't even think about it. I know you're looking at the call 600 button, but do not even think about it. King 9. Do I want to get involved against a chip leader with King 9? I think I do. I think I'm going to raise to 1800 real quick, and I like King 9. I think it flops well. I think my opponent hasn't seen me play a hand against him. Like, I've been very quiet against him, so I think my raise looks very strong. So right now it looks like Chaos Kid, Tomb Raiders, and I are basically all in the same boat here. You know, kind of floating around, and Maluzzo has more than half the chips in play. Well, roughly half the chips in play. So we are going to just try to make really super sound decisions here. We're not going to be getting too far out of line. You know, we are capable of running some bluffs in some spots, but I also think that you want to make sure that your bluffs make sense. So if you're going to, Johnny, if you're going to be running bluffs, you just need to make sure that your lines make sense, you know. So Tommy's able to drag a nice little pot there, and, you know, Maluzzo probably would be smart to just be always raising, you know, because Chaos Kid's always folding, Tomb Raiders is always folding, you know, that's just the way this tournament has been going. As soon as I say always folding, Chaos Kid decides that he wants to play a hand. I'm putting Chaos Kid on exactly Ace-Jack because I think that's probably about as strong as it gets right now for just a flat call. So, you know, just based on my Insta read, not that I have a whole lot of information to say he has Ace-Jack. I think Ace-Jack just flat calls a lot and snap calls there. So Ace-Jack behaves this way, Ace-10 behaves this way, and I think Ace-10 or Ace-Jack still bets here, like maybe 4,000. 3,600, and Maluzzo probably folds. So I really feel like putting Chaos Kid on a nice ace right there. King 3 from small blind, not going to be getting out of line here. Tommy has been really, really inactive. Obviously, as soon as I say he's been active, he goes ahead and 3x bets here. And maybe Maluzzo looks him up, but I guess not. So Tommy really has decided that he's not going to be taking advantage of his button against Maluzzo. Well, he's shown ace high there, so I guess that's not that bad. I am also not going to be betting the 3-7. I'm going to take a page out of DeCarlo's book here, and my table image right now is just so broken and destroyed that I really feel comfortable that if I do make raises or do get involved in pots, that my opponents are going to be looking me up late, like with just one pair. So, you know, I really, until I repair my table image a little bit, I just don't think that I should be trying to run bluffs with 3-7. If Chaos Kid bets, you can pretty much always put him on a flush. Since he doesn't bet, it's just a busted draw, and he still wins the hand with a busted draw. So at least we know Maluzzo is still in there trying to win pots. You know, he's not just sitting back on his 4,100 chips. And there's a lot of there's a lot of power in the fact that he is a chip leader and he can be making these bets. It just is unfortunate that Chaos Kid ends up having you know, a hand that can call him. So let's just take a look at the way this hand plays out. You know, it's small blind versus big blind to begin with, so you know you never know. Queen high against a random hand is usually pretty good. It's just a small edge to be pushing, and I don't mind Chaos Kid's call. So when Chaos Kid sees this flop with Queen 10, he's thinking I'm probably calling pretty much a half pot size bet. So it goes check check, and now Chaos Kid is saying to himself, "Oh man, I actually can hit a 9 or an ace, so I'm open ended in this spot." So you know the 1,800 chips really isn't super scary, and you know I don't mind Maluzzo for making this bet when the king comes out. It's just unfortunate that Chaos Kid decided or had the cards to make that call, you know. Nice big pot size bet here for Tom's going to get the job done when an ace hits the board. You know, Tom was the pre-flop aggressor, so you know when this ace pops off, he definitely you know, is most likely to be having an ace in that spot. I think it's my turn, so I think I will be raising here. It's my turn to be raising. The tension is building. Chaos Kid is thinking. 7 deuce, not a very good hand. Definitely going to be just folding it. So this, it's going raise, take it a lot. So, you know, I think a lot of us are kind of just waiting to see who's going to be making the first mistake. I certainly don't want to be the one who makes the first mistake, but I also can't get blinded out, right? So, you know, how am I going to get blinded out? Well, I think right now I still have, you know, roughly 20 bigs, so I don't think I'm going to be getting blinded out with 20 bigs. Tommy has decided he's going to draw a line in the sand and call a pre-flop raise. I think if he has an ace, he'd be smart to check. So it's very likely that Tommy does have an ace. If Tommy were to lead out at this flop, it would just be a huge mistake. Another ace makes it a little less likely that Tommy has an ace, but now he kind of has to bet. And the quickness of Tommy's bet tells me that he more than likely does have the ace. So King 8, I will be raising. I think it's good enough to raise. Even though our opponent kind of just lost a hand and might want to be defending, but I think my hand is good enough to be raising. And again, when I'm playing the chip leader here, I really want to have a hand that hopefully, you know, if I do even hit my bottom pair, that the bottom pair is big enough to where I'll still want to continue in the hand, you know? Like, I don't think I'm making that raise with King Deuce. You know, because if I flop a deuce, I still hate it. So no matter how we got to this final table, I mean, if you go back and you take a look at the way this video is played out, I basically am the worst player sitting at this table. Okay, I think it's not even arguable. Even though Maluzzo had made some pretty weird bets and was making some pretty annoying bets and maybe even making some bad calls, he has played the way you're supposed to play. He's applying pressure at the right times. Wow, Tommy decides that now's the time of moving all in. So, you know, got to give credit to Tommy there. He's able to drag a pretty big pot. But Maluzzo has been outplaying us and has been the better player for sure at this table. I think I'm going to overplay my pocket fours in this spot, and I'm definitely going to be shoving all in, and if my opponents would like to call me with better, that's fine. But again, I don't know if I should or shouldn't be playing a small pocket pair, but I just feel like if I have the best hand right now, I'd much prefer to take the 3,000 chips and just say, you know, I'll take those chips now. Thank you very much. You know, Maluzzo has been raising my big blind every single orbit, so he can't always have a hand that's better than fours, right? I mean, even when Tommy calls, it doesn't mean he has a hand better than fours. I think I can just call here. I'm going to make it 21.95, and that's going to look like a pretty strong raise. And, you know, maybe I'm able to just go heads up against Tommy. So I bet 21.95 pre-flop, so I think I have to make a bet like maybe 1,800. So 1,800 looks like it's begging for a call. Like 1,800 just looks like the fishiest bet in the world. Alright dude, if you honestly have a better hand than me right now, I'm just going to move all in. Yeah, like, there's no way you have a better hand than me right now. Just made a fucking super crazy move with ace queen, so pocket threes, I think I'm just gonna muck those. Would have been sick if a 3 came out, right? Pocket 3 still could be the best hand. Probably not anymore. So we have kind of moved ourselves into a spot where we are very close to the chip leader. The chip leader only has like 5,000 more than us. Chaos Kid. You know, like I said, Maluzzo has been raising my big blind pretty much every time, but now I do have some chips to fight back against him. So I think I will be looking him up with the 8-9 and seeing a flop. So I think I'll just be checking to my opponent, and hopefully he'll be making a continuation bet. When he checks, I think I'm just going to check back again. Does my opponent ever have me beat? Maybe. Fuck you, Maluzzo. I hate your pot size bet. I'll move all in with my top 2 pair. If he hits a queen and calls me with a queen, it's going to be like a really, really sick call. Like, it's hard for him to fold a queen right here. I can see the pain in his eyes. He's like, I have to fold a queen. That sucks. Thank you, sir. Let's do the chip leader dance. What? Let's do the chip leader dance. What? 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 Yeah, fought our fucking way back to the chip lead, guys. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Alright, so even though we're the chip leader, we're still not in awesome shape. I mean, most of our opponents have a stack that still does catastrophic damage. Like, if any one of our opponents decides to move all in on us and we call and we lose, we're just in terrible shape. I mean, maybe Tomb Raiders moves all in and we still have 11,000 chips behind if we lose to Tomb Raiders, but 11,000 chips when the blinds are 350, 700, it's just bad. It's just bad news bears. You know, it's hard to come back from that. I think I'm going to fold. You know, I'd like to apply some pressure here. I'd like to, you know, be the one who starts to take over, but I also don't think Maluzzo's in a foldy mood, considering I just moved all in on him. So I'm gonna continue, you know, like me taking the lines where I'm just being careful and picking good spots to be moving all in. I think that's going to be my recipe, right? Like, if I have to be a chef in the kitchen and I need to tell you what my recipe is going to be finding good spots to be moving all in. Tommy just limps. You know, can I ever raise with 10 high? Sometimes. You know, when we flop 2 pair here, it's just so fucking perfect. I don't know if I can just let Tommy continue. Bet 700. You know, maybe he decides that he's going to raise me. You know, we're just so far ahead so often that I can't see a world where, you know, like, what is he calling me with? Like, what is Tommy calling with? I can't figure out what he's calling with. So I'm going to bet, I think 1570 happens to be exactly 10% of his stack. So maybe I just bet 1570 and maybe he looks me up with like just a 10. I don't know. My hand is just so good right now. You know, if he bets this, I'm going to be concerned. But I think I'm just going to check so that he has a chance to see that I'm doing this with 2 pair. Like, I really need him to see that I'm doing this with 2 pair, you know? So like when he ends up calling me with just a 4 high there, you know, I think maybe he thinks he's ahead sometimes, but you know, I honestly, like, I could have made a bet there on the river. Like, if I ever bet this river, he's never calling me. Like, does any of you guys think he's ever calling me with 4-9 on this river? Like, this river is just such a terrible river for him that it's just like, is your 4 ever good? No. So I think we did what we could, and we actually, you know, as far as building our table image, you know, we did the right thing in building our table image the right way. So, so I'm okay with just showing the 2 pair in that spot. You know, I'm setting myself up for this by making my min raises. You know, I'm basically essentially setting myself up to be re-raised. Because if you do have a good hand like Ace-10, you're obviously re-raising, so I think I'm just going to think, fold. And then I'm going to go take a leak. So let's click sit out next hand and fold and let these guys fight it out. I'll be right back, guys. What do I have? Anything fun? Nope. Deuce 9. Nice big bet from Tommy there. Most of the time he's going to get the job done right there. And shows the broken flush draw. And Maluzzo correctly looks him up with just 1 pair. So, anyways, guys, we have been, I guess, getting extremely lucky in some spots, getting unlucky in other spots. We have been on a roller coaster going up and down. You know, obviously, 3 places get paid, so we'd like to make the top 3. You know, Tomb Raiders here is an excellent poker player. I give him a lot of credit. It's just unfortunate that, you know, the cards really haven't gone his way. And, you know, he was right to be looking me up with 1 pair in a few different spots, like when he had the 4. And he's just looking me up with a pair. I mean, my table image has gotten to a point where, wow, okay. So 7-8 is trying to bluff his way out of the hand. So, you know, Chaos Kid is in a good spot, Maluzzo's in a good spot, and Tomb Raiders just unfortunately isn't in such a good spot right now with 11,000 chips. But, you know, I do give Tommy a lot of credit, and I think that he has enough chips to where he can make his opponents make some mistakes. I personally am not going to be looking him up very late, and I'm not going to be raising his big blind very late. But I am going to be making this bet to 1,700, just because 1,400 seems to be getting called a lot. So I think 1,700 is a better raise, and you know, I don't want to be re-raised when I'm making my raises, so I think I want to make a more calculated raise than just be min-raising. you know, there's a lot of incentive for, you know, somebody to be, you know, busting Tommy. But again, what do we know about Maluzzo? Maluzzo is 100% always raising our big blind. And I think our behavior has been such where we've been allowing this guy to be raising our big blind all the time. But at the very least, he's been min-raising our big blind, and now he's 3x'd our big blind. So I think by him 3x'ing our big blind, it actually is a little bit stronger than the min-raise that he's usually accustomed to. So while I may have defended with 6-7, I don't think I'm going to be defending against an abnormality or an anomaly in his betting pattern. You know, it's been a very profitable thing for him to be making his raises on my big blind. So I just don't think he has it all the time, but I also am noticing a pattern of him just min-raising, and then when he 3x raises, I kind of just don't want to get involved with 7 high in that spot. We do have not that much time, but again, our chip stack in comparison to the rest of the players at the table, like, you know, really Chaos Kid is the chip leader. You know, we are in really good shape, all things considered. We could be putting Tomb Raiders all in and still have roughly the same chip stack as him. So, you know, we're not in terrible shape at all. We can be waiting out for better hands and allowing our players to be getting impatient in front of us. What's incredible is that as we get to this spot where I actually have enough chips to be patient, that it just makes it so much easier for me to be harping on patience. But when I didn't have a lot of chips, I just wasn't patient, you know? And I think it had a lot to do with the way that way things have been going as far as the way people have been playing. Chaos Kid limped over here last time with like a deuce 7, so maybe Tomb Raiders is taking into consideration the fact that Chaos Kid is limping extremely late and can be making this raise with pretty much anything, knowing his opponent is limping super late. So if that's the case, and Tommy, if your decision right there to raise, like say you have like a 9-6 and you're making that raise, like I love that raise because you know your opponent has just been on autopilot, just, you know, calling from the small blind, and you know, I don't think I'm just going to let this guy take it. I think I'm going to defend here. So we have flopped a really good hand. The question is whether or not, yeah, I'm just going to bomb it, and if my opponent really wants to be moving all in or, you know, making some crazy shit, that's fine. But like, I just feel like our opponent has really been in a spot where he's been picking on our big blind so much that I want to show him that we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it! No! We're just not going to take it. Come on, Maluzzo, raise. I dare you. Wish that flop would have came out last time. I'm not going to pretend to have hit this flop. I think our king high is good most of the time. You know, if Maluzzo does decide to pot size bet here, I think I am going to be calling him. You know, if he's just betting 1400 just for the sake of betting 1400, I think I'm just going to look him up here, and I don't mind him betting 1400 with air, but I just don't put him on a hand right this second. Whatever, dude, I call. Yeah, I mean, what do we know about Maluzzo? Like, he gets weird in spots, so I kind of knew where I was in the hand at all times and was able to make some pretty decent calls. You're kidding me! Are you kidding me? Come on! No! 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 Oh, man. Look at this flop. I guess nobody has anything, so fine, but... so sad. So sad. What a nit. I'm such a fucking nit. She's like, oh yeah, I'll just fold Queen 10 suited on the button like an asshole. God, I'm in such a good spot right now with 35,000 chips. Like, I mean, Chaos Kid, obviously, what do we know? Like, Chaos Kid really hasn't been getting out of line at all, right? So, you know, when Chaos Kid gets involved in a hand, he tends to have it. So, I just... Tommy. I have Jack High. Can you beat Jack High? Oh my God. This would be sick. I don't think I can just... Let's just check. Let's just have some fun and check. I think I'll check behind as well. So there's a straight on board. God, this would be sick if he moves all in. I'm not calling. Tommy, if you move all in, I'm not calling. You can just have it. Oh, so sick. I'm not calling. You can just have it. Whatever. It's here. It's poetic justice, all things considered, since I rivered a flush on you last time. But I'm not calling you. I'm not calling you. I think I made a mistake raising here with 5-7. Not happy with the fact that I raised with 5-7. Do I think Maluzzo has it in his bag of tricks to re-raise this bet? I do. But I think it'd be very unlikely for... Yeah, I got away with murder there because maybe Maluzzo calls me with an 8, but I got away with murder there. Sorry, bud. Had to make the bet. Not just going to lose to you, bro. I'm going to be fighting for that pot. I'm going to be fighting for your fucking chips, bro! You expect me to just check to you with 7 high? Fuck that. Chaos Kid decides to defend, and that's the flop that comes from defending cards, so I like Chaos Kid's cards in this spot. Like, if Chaos Kid is just calling with Queen 10, I like his cards a lot, so I expect him to be raising this flop a lot. I do expect Chaos Kid to be raising this flop a lot. I mean, if he's defending with less than that, then... You know, maybe he has, like, Ace-5, I guess. I guess maybe Chaos Kid defends with, like, an Ace-5, and maybe just can't call that. Tommy over there in the big blind, you know, he's probably hating life right now. He's got 10 bigs. He's a little concerned about his chip stack. He's feeling a little bit insecure about the amount of chips that he has. But I do think he still has enough chips to where he can be moving all in and still getting people to be calling him light. You know, I think people are going to be calling him with like Ace-7s, Ace-8s, things like that. And Tommy has been doing pretty well against me, you know, just sort of limping in. So when he makes this insta-shove, it's an obvious fold for me. But I do want him to think about it for a second. Like, I don't want him to feel like this is just going to work all the time. Although, I don't think he cares. Like, I think maybe he has, like, Ace-Jack and says, I don't care, John, call me. So, even though we do have not a significant chip lead, but a nice little chip lead, I do think we can still play patiently and really frustrate our opponents by not doubling up, you know, players. Like, I don't want to double up Tommy. I don't want to double up Maluzzo. I specifically don't want to double up Maluzzo based on the fact that he is just a maniac sometimes. So I just don't want to give him any chips or send any... Like, if anything, I don't mind sending my chips over to Tommy because at least I have first crack at him coming back. But if I send my chips over to Maluzzo, then I just might never see those chips again, so... So Maluzzo has a big decision to make with this ace on the river. Like, is he going to move all in bluff? Because Chaos Kid very well could have missed a draw and just checked behind. Oh my god. I mean, Maluzzo is just... I don't know if you remember Mike Mattisau, but he used to have Mike Mattisau blow-ups, and Maluzzo was just completely overplaying his hands. And, I mean, think about it. An hour ago, this guy had half the chips in the tournament. And now, you know, he has 10 bigs. So, you know, Chaos Kid obviously has been watching Maluzzo's play, and Chaos Kid is in the best spot to be the beneficiary of a bad player. Listen, Maluzzo, you're not a bad player, okay? Like, anybody who goes after pots, I don't think you're a bad player. It just works out where if your opponent has a read on you and understands that he can be calling you with just middle pair or, you know, with draws and still be getting, you know, still be ahead sometimes, like, he's just going to be calling you and letting you make those plays, you know? So Maluzzo's able to drag a pot here with ace high. And it looks like Tommy and Maluzzo have identical chip stacks, and Chaos Kid and I have basically identical chip stacks. You know, I've shown that I'm willing to be making it a little bit more of a calculated raise. You know, am I going to be calling Tommy's all in? I think so. Am I going to be calling Chaos Kids all in? Absolutely fucking not. Insta call. So we need to dodge a 9 or an ace. Okay, fine. Okay, fine, Tommy, you did it. You sucked out on the river. Well done. You know, I'm not mad at Tommy's all in. I'm really not all that mad. I didn't raise this pot, so it's going to be very unlikely for my opponents to be putting me on an ace. So, oh man, that king kind of sucks. I think I can min-bet the king. I'm not going to min-bet. That's just weak. I'm going to bet 1,600. I think 1,600 is a better bet. Because I do think that it does look pretty good. So... So basically, I have made it to where Maluzzo is the one who has his tournament life in jeopardy at this point. So hopefully Chaos Kid, when he's raising this big blind, understands that Maluzzo has a very good shoving stack. So if Chaos Kid is ever making this raise without the plan of what he's going to do if Maluzzo shoves, like if Chaos Kid's ever in a spot where he makes it 1850, not knowing if he's going to call, then he should never be making this raise. Like, when you make this raise, you have to know that you're going to be calling this all in if it happens. We sure would like to get to three-handed play because it would be a shame if we were busting out before maybe Maluzzo does. But we do have Tommy in the game, and Tommy has shown that he has, you know, even though he did suck out, you know, I'm not mad at him because we've sucked out a number of times in this tournament. So, you know, he's shown that he really understands how to play three-handed. So I'm a little bit more nervous to be playing Tommy three-handed versus playing anybody else three-handed. I think I'm just going to call here, and, oh my god, I mean, it's just so fucking sick. I think I'm going to bet 2,600, kind of inducing all in from any flush draw in this spot. We do have a straight now, so I think I'll call. Hopefully that club slows this guy down, because I actually feel like I'm up against like a flush, like a small flush here, and this flush actually makes him want to slow down, so yeah. I mean, Tommy, whatever, dude, I don't understand why you're even in the hand when I make the bet, but that's fine. You want to call to the fucking inside draws? That's fine. I'm not going to get involved. Hopefully Maluzzo just friggin' spazzes out. If Maluzzo shoves and Tommy doesn't call, I'm going to lose my mind. Oh my god. Alright, so here we are, and the whole texture of this tournament has just gotten fucking completely flipped on its head. Like, the texture of this tournament has gone fucked. Now I gotta deal with Maluzzo's fucking ass. Chaos Kid, what are you doing, bro? I hope you know what you're doing. Honestly, Chaos Kid, I hope you know what you're doing. This guy Maluzzo is calling me with junk. This is so gross. You know what? Fuck you, dude. I call. Oh my god. Oh my god! Oh my god! Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me right now? Oh my god. That is so sick. That's the sickest shit. Oh no, I can't believe it. Oh my god, I'm honestly flabbergasted at the way I'm not even paying attention right now. Sorry, Tommy, I'm just it's so good. It's so fucking good. I gave him the thumbs down because, you know, I was honestly it was just a fucking Steam call. It was just a fucking Steam call. We have flopped a straight flush, a straight draw, and a flush draw, so I don't think it's right to just check. I think hopefully we get raised. When he makes it 4,800, am I gonna get myself into trouble? I don't know, Chaos Kid. What are you doing over there? Oh my god, I have a straight draw, a flush draw. I mean, is he ever making this pair play with two pair? I guess not. Based on the way that I'm playing right now, I would absolutely 100% be willing to chop. I'm actually petitioning for a chop, basically because I'm playing terribly right now, and I've sucked out. I think I might have sucked out being like a 5% dog. Let me figure out what this would be. Let me go to Tuna's thing here. Just give me a second, guys. Are you gonna stay the night? Are you gonna stay the night? Let me just see this real quick. Do this over here. What do we have? 20 players? 19 players? 19 players, 103, 154, 257. Let me just do that math on the computer real quick. 103 plus 154 plus 257 is equal to 514, so 150, 150, 214. Alright, so I have negotiated successfully a deal with the rest of the table, and I'm going to be emailing Tuna real quick. Let me go to my email real quick. Are you gonna stay the night? Alright, let's see. What the fuck's going on here? God damn it. Let me go over here to mail. I gotta do a new mail. Greg. Last night chop. Me and Tom 150 each. Chaos Kid 214. Agreed at 12 a.m. Okay. So we have the chop here, and I think we just fold here. Okay, so guys, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the way chops work, chops is when the people who are left in the tournament take a look at the points that are available, and you know there's a lot of variance between third place and first place. So if you want to make a deal with your opponents, a lot of times what you'll do is you'll take a look at the amount of points total that are involved, and you will sort of try and make a good deal to where, you know, like right now we're making by making a deal for 150 points, we are making a deal to where we're guaranteeing ourselves second place points as opposed to you know, making, you know, getting knocked out and getting third place points. So, you know, we've guaranteed ourselves a few more points than we normally would have had. I think when we've negotiated this deal, I think it's going to open up everybody's game, because playing for points is kind of like, you know, it's kind of you know, maybe Chaos Kid looks him up light. You know, I'm gonna have to make a deal here or make a move here, but you know, we've negotiated second place points here, and that's kind of a good spot for all of us. So I think I'm just gonna call here, call the extra 2,500, and be set mining. You know, hopefully we get a call here and we're able to get some. Oh my God. I'm just going to fold. I like the raise from Chaos Kid. You know, he knows he has very little to lose by making that raise, so. You know, we are stuck with just basically 12 bigs, but I'm just so happy right now. Like, guys, I'm just so friggin' happy to be in a spot where I am able to make second place points, even though I've been playing so shitty this entire tournament. And, you know, was up against Pocket Queens and somehow sucked out runner straight. So, I think what I'm trying to do now is just make sure that, you know, I know that when I move all in, I'm definitely going to be getting called. So, I just kind of want to make sure that I have a hand that is worth going all in with. You know, it doesn't affect me, like the way that this chop works out, it doesn't affect me whether I finish in third place or second place, because the amount of points I'm going to receive are the same. So Tommy has moved all in with a pair and a straight draw, so now we are heads up playing Chaos Kid. It's very unlikely for me to be beating Chaos Kid heads up when he has like an 8-to-1 chip advantage against me, so I'm gonna have to just get super aggressive. $8-10 here. You know, this has gotta be like right on the border of what I want to be shoving all in with. So maybe Chaos Kid just decides he's going to be checking back to us. You know, if he bets, oh my God. I mean, Chaos Kid's in a spot where he already knows what he's going to be making, so he can just be putting max pressure on us if we didn't hit flops. So that's one of the downsides of making deals. You know, you kind of. Like, I really would still like to win this tournament just based on the points that I would be getting for the long term. I think I told you guys that Ugly Tuna offers, you know, for the top points getters, you know, offers prizes and things like that. So, you know, even though we've arranged for a chop of the points, I still would like to be getting in first place, because I feel like first place is just part of what I guess it's kind of just a shitty spot for us, because we just have no chips and our opponent has all the chips. Oh, we're in such bad shape. So we're drawing dead to a 6. Or a club? Alright, so he wins. So we were able to somehow figure out a way to final table and make second place. So I actually have been playing so bad that I can't even tell you that I played well to make it to this far. The cards just, you know, this is an example if you're watching poker that the cards sometimes they just go your way. But the last 3 times that we've played six-handed poker, you know, we've gone first place, second place. So I'm not going to take too much credit for this second place finish, but it is kind of cool that we were able to make that finish. So I'm just really excited about it, and hopefully you guys had some fun watching. And I doubt that you learned anything because I'm probably just really bad in this tournament. So don't do what I do, okay? Just don't. And next time we play, hopefully we'll play a lot better. You guys have a good one, all right? Oh my God, another long video. Sorry guys, but that's just what happens when you make final tables, right? You make long videos. All right. Very nice hanging out with you guys. You know, we had to call an audible and go for the chop, and I think we went for the chop because we weren't playing well. But I was very happy to be making second place points, so we've done that, and we will see you guys hopefully tomorrow and or Thursday as Tuna is holding a satellite to a very cool tournament, Miracle, Westchester Miracle charity tournament. So hopefully we can do well in that satellite, and I'll put another video up for you guys. All right, so definitely thank you for watching, thank you for staying with me, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.